or die. Hey, swing those hips around. Can't stop, roll back down. My ladies, short, tall, thin or wide, always down and ready to ride. One by one, billion by billion, been holding up half the sky. Raise your hand if you're ready and willing, if you know it's time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a girl on time. Whether you're ready or not, time for a break free of history. This train is racing straight ahead. No man can do like I can. I'm the queen of the land. Haters gonna hate. Won't be sorry now. Shoot me down, but I'll rise again. I'm laying down the law, and you've been served. One by one, billion by billion, been holding up half the sky. Raise your hand if you're ready and willing, if you know it's time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a girl on time. Whether you're ready or not, time for a girl on time.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Mcconey.
With the launch of Mcconey Entertainment and Mcconey Competizone alongside Mcconey Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at McConeySetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Mcconey Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Hello, my name's Aaron Brown from the Garage Shop in Denver, North Carolina. We're here at the famous Bonneville Speedway in Wendover, Utah. One of the most harshest environments on the planet to race in, and that's why we need the best tools Snap-on has to offer. What we use here to pump up the oil in our race engines to prime them is this Snap-on screw gun. With its variable speed and high torque, this allows us to spin our oil pumps up to 1,500 RPMs, creating 70 pounds of oil pressure, which helps us get everything settled in, nice and happy, and turn the hot oil through the engine. Compact, lightweight, and able to fit in really tight spaces. Its 9-position clutch allows us to torque things, nuts, bolts, from 8-inch to 50-inch pounds. Small size and high performance helps us get into many places on a race car where normal tools can't. Under the dash and the engine compartment, we also use this to drill a lot of holes in very tight spots.
For the first time ever, the Garage Shop College Cup Series is taking to the streets for tonight's race. Down in Chicago, Grant Park. The Chicago Street Course going to be the home of tonight's race this evening. Welcome in everybody to the Ignition Zone pre-race show. We'll go through all the storylines and stats leading into tonight's road course race from the streets of Chicago. The only road course, or only street course of the year, one of only 2 road courses, I believe. I'm Alex Gagnon. Alongside me tonight, Brad Daniels, Christian Hill behind the scenes. Brad, we're about to do some street track racing here for the first time ever in the Garage Shop College Cup Series. And this, even for the best of the best, is an insanely difficult track. I guess I'll ask you, what are you expecting tonight? Because I really don't know what to expect.
There's really a lot of unknowns, honestly, for what we're going to see here at Chicago. But we also, said the same thing about Road Atlanta last season, and it ended up being one of the best road races we've ever had in at least the Oval Series here in the CIL. So, Chicago offers a lot of different variations of, racing, obviously it being the street course it is, but there's going to be a lot of tendencies that are going to be pushed, and Bristol's next week, and I think a lot of people are going to try and have to tame their a little bit ambitions here this week and maybe make it up next week in Bristol.
Yeah, so you look at the calendar here, folks, only 3 races left in the spring season. Tonight at the Chicago Street Course, Bristol Motor Speedway next week, and then it all comes to a head at an Auto Club Speedway Monday, April 21st. I almost said August. That would be very wrong. But 3 races left this season: Chicago, Bristol, and Auto Club. And this is really, I think, the last little stretch of the schedule where, at this point, more or less, your season has gone the way that it's gone. If you've kept yourself in contention for a good points finish, you got to minimize any potential damage that could come from tonight if you do not get the run you're looking for. And if you are, someone who struggled on the points, but you might be a good road racer, this is something that you've probably had circled on the calendar for months now. Looking at it, the only road course of the season. And, of course, it being the street course, such a variable, such a wild card, that I think a lot of people are going to try to take advantage of tonight, and we are going to see maybe some new faces that we don't always see at the front of this field, Brad.
Yeah, and you said it perfect, Alex. A lot of these guys that you might not typically see towards the front in your typical oval race will shine here today, and I think you can see that in real life as well. A lot of people have that road racing prowess and use it when it comes to these kind of courses, and obviously Chicago Street Course, I think there's a lot to be learned for everyone here today, especially for the CIL.
So, of course, last week we were at Kentucky Speedway, had a fantastic race there. I think about those closing laps, Brad. We were going 4 or 5 wide, everyone bouncing off each other. Ultimately ended in a Daniel Nanny victory to set the Garage Shop College Cup Series single-season record for most wins in a season with 6. But there was so much battling happening in the top 10, the closing laps there. Some of the most spectacular racing I think we've ever seen, period, in this league, in the closing laps. And, coming off of the high energy finish that was, I almost wonder if there's going to be a lot of drivers who remember how last week ended if it didn't end the right way for them. And think about that with how they're racing each other here at the street course, knowing that it's a very different skill set.
Yeah, and, it's going to be a lot going on here tonight. There's going to have to be a lot of people who are planning their moves and making the right moves when they can. There's going to be a lot of patience where, like I said, Bristol next week, you're going to pretty much save all the patience you have for next week when everything's out the window. So.
Well, while we have a second, let's throw the current points up on the board with his win last week. Daniel Nanny has taken a commanding lead of this points championship, 442 to Jake Cummings' 369 as they run. Nanny doesn't have this thing officially locked up yet, Brad, but has a good enough gap where he just needs to run respectively over the next couple weeks, and he should be able to claim his first ever CCS title.
Yeah, and you can see a lot of, great racers behind him who are great at road courses no matter what type of configuration. Watkins, Road Atlanta, and even here today, Clint Haltman is one of them, and Jake Cummings, we've seen him have a lot of speed at these road courses, but you can't forget about Armaham Alif back there in 7th. Those three alone have just shown a lot of speed and a lot of great racing here in the CIL, and then when it comes to road courses, they're on that next tier up from everyone else, it seems like, and Daniel Nanny along with them.
It's really funny you mentioned some of those names, and I think about the people who have won road course races here on the Cup side in this series. We've had 7 road races before this. The 3 names you mentioned won 5 of them. The other 2 are not actively racing. So it really is if you want to win one of these road course races tonight, those are the 3 guys you're going to have to find a way in front of. Jake, Clint, and Armaham Alif. Those 3. The class of the field, Alif especially, he's so good at these road courses, no matter what car you put him in. 3 wins already on the oval side alone, not to mention the amount of victories he's picked up in FC and in sports car racing. But with that, we're going to take an opportunity here, I believe, to chat with one of his teammates who we're catching up with for the first time in a minute. It'll be Ball State's Lucas Moody, who's going to be joining the booth soon. Who's sitting there 10th in the points. Let's bring him in. Hey there, Lucas.
Hello.
Alex and Brad in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes. Hold up. I have to mix. There you go. Okay, cool.
Well, I must say, this is the first time in a minute that we've had the opportunity to talk to you, and there was no Weezer intro this time around. That was I was
wait, what happened to my soundboard? Wait. I must have gotten taken away in the Discord update. Dang.
That's a bummer. Well, Lucas, welcome in to the Ignition Zone pre-race show. Pleasure to have you up here. First and foremost, I just want to kind of talk about how the season's gone to this point. Obviously, 3 races left in the year. Sitting top 10 in points right now with the opportunity to make up a few more spots pretty reasonably. How do you feel about how this season has gone so far? And how many more spots do you think you'd be able to wrestle away from the people in front of you here in the closing couple weeks?
Well, the season started very well with the second place at Charlotte, I believe it was. And then it got into a bit of a... I'm sorry if you can hear people in the background. There's some Smash Bros. Gamers. Then it went to a little bit of a valley. Didn't have the best of race. I was still finishing the back of top 10, but at the podiums that I was looking for. And then, brought it back with Vegas and then threw it all away with my performance with Iowa. Not only did I get disqualified from that race, I got suspended from the next, and now I have to start this race from the back. So, a couple little mistakes ruined 3 of my races. So I just got to dig back at that now. Sitting 10th with, as you were saying, the 2 cars ahead of me are pretty close. So I think an 8th is definitely a reasonable finish for the standings, and I think that's probably about where I am pace-wise, too.
And, you guys at Ball State have always been fast, no matter the configuration, road courses, ovals, pretty much anything you throw at Ball State, you guys have been breaking through. How have you guys gotten prepared for Chicago, and is it any different than, Road Atlanta last season or any other road course?
Well, like always, we put in the work to do the run a lot of practice sessions. I have not been able to put too much time into this track because over the weekend I was casting an ESC ESC playoffs tournament for Overwatch and League of Legends. So personally, I've not gotten to do too much practice, but I know Daniel, Alif, and Kelton, those 3 were hard at work when I was gone. So definitely look out for them. But yeah, very different than Road Atlanta. The walls is the big thing. You make a little mistake at Road Atlanta, you're in the grass a little bit, you're probably fine. Here, you're in the wall, wheel damage, race essentially over. So yeah, you have to be a lot more careful. It's going to be about underdriving the car, especially for the people starting in the back, like I will be with EOL. No reason to push and the people in front of me. I will most likely be good amount quicker than them, so I just want to play it slow, play it safe. Don't want to give myself a third strike and get that 10-point penalty in the championship. So I'm just looking to play it slow today.
Well, honestly, I think that is not a bad game plan, especially coming from the rear. This is a long race, 50 laps at an over 2-mile long course, and a lot of passing opportunities, especially for folks who may not be as prepared or have the same pace that you guys have had over the course of this season. But, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. I mean, Ball State has just been crushing it this year. I mean, obviously, your teammate Daniel's been having a phenomenal season. The Leafs put up a handful of podiums. You've put up a podium or two. Kelton with his win at Daytona. It seems like everything really for the team is firing on all cylinders right now. Does that give you extra motivation knowing that your teammates have been finding that level of success to go out there and try to match that?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really cool that at Ball State we've been able to create such a strong team. Just, us those four drivers that you mentioned, me, Alif, Kelton, Daniel, and of course Nick and Ben as well, who drive in the Oval Series. We're all very strong paced, so that if one of us has a bad race, due to misfortune, that happens so often, especially in the NASCAR series, another one of us is able to step up and still get us good points in the championship. Now you think about races, Daniel gets crashed out, Kelton is there to finish first, I'm there to finish on the podium, Alif is there to finish up on the podium. So, Daniel has 6 wins and he's done so much work for the championship standings, but, everyone else, we've put in that work as well, that seeing him, he, not only is he helping us, but, it's like a benchmark of where we want to get to. And the races that, unfortunately he's not able to perform due to like suspensions or getting crashed out, we are able to elevate up to that level and so score points for Ball State.
And then for the most important question here, so Chicago's all about, deep dish pizza, and, everyone loves to say what's the best pizza in the country, but we can actually have 2 questions here. First, does pineapple go on pizza? And secondly, what's your favorite type of pizza and from where?
All right, so pineapple 100% does belong on pizza.
Whoa,
I think it is absolutely phenomenal. Matter of fact, my favorite pizza is from Hotbox, which is an Indiana place. There's one right outside of Ball State campus, and my favorite pizza by them is called the Girl Next Door. And it's called the Girl Next Door because it's a little bit spicy, a little bit sweet, and it has pineapple, spicy pepperoni, and honey, and it is one of the best pizzas ever.
Tell you what, somebody sponsor this man. He knew that ad read off the top of his head, and he's not getting paid. Tell you what, though, that sounds fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Brett, and I guess to the other point of that, now thinking about other Chicago bits, have you been to Chicago?
I actually have. So my senior year, my choir took a trip to Chicago. It was very fun. I wasn't in NASCAR then, so I didn't too much worry about Chicagoland or the street course, but we saw the bean, we did the tilt, we got some deep dish pizza, we went to the aquarium, we hit those nice, like landmark places.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the bean? That's just an important thing for me to know.
The bean, it's definitely pretty cool. Like, being inside of it, obviously, it's like trippy if you like look up and like look to the left and right. But at the end of the day, it is just a bean, but it's still pretty cool.
Well, I'll say that's the hard-hitting analysis we come for here on the Town Free Race Show. Brad, any other questions here, or we want to keep it rolling?
Yeah, I think I'm all out of questions here tonight.
Alrighty, Lucas, thank you so much for dropping by. Anyone you want to shout out before you get ready for qualifying here?
Of course, have to shout out my family, my mom, my dad, my brother Andrew. My brother just did a show this weekend at his high school. Haiti Sound was really good.
Nice. That's a fun one.
And of course, have to shout out my teammates that are all racing here today. My sports consultant Daniel, everyone on the Vortex side, the Overwatch team and League team who put up phenomenal performances in the tournaments this weekend. League of Legends bringing home that first place trophy, and Overwatch coming home in second. And then, of course, Dan and BK, who run everything at Ball State.
Alrighty. Well, Lucas, thank you so much for dropping by on the pre-show. Best of luck tonight, and if all things go well, maybe we're chatting a bit more here at the end of this one.
Yep, let's hope so. Thank you, guys.
Alrighty. and that is Lucas Moody, driver for Ball State University, who's putting together a really strong season, maybe overshadowed a little bit by some of the success his teammates have had. Obviously, Kelton with that dramatic win at Daytona, and then Daniel Lanny having just a phenomenal season at this point, but not to be outdone. I mean, every season we've seen Lucas Moody drive, I feel like he's taken another step forward in the field. And, to his point, this year he's running that 8th to 10th spot basically week in, week out. And I think the points are reflecting that.
Yeah, definitely. When consistency matters, I mean, you've seen him, definitely up in the thick of things when it comes to mid-pack, and then all the way up into, top 5, top 3. And he's battling, he's fast. You're definitely going to see him battling for the lead at times. And, we've seen him win last season, and, honestly, I mean, a lot can happen here at Chicago, so we'll just see what happens for Ball State as a whole and everyone else.
That we will. Well, we are going to take a quick commercial break here as cars are just winding down practice. When we come back, though, it will be the start of tonight's race from Chicago Street Course, the Market Crash 110, coming your way in just a couple of minutes. You won't want to miss it. We'll be right back. As towers and buildings loom in the background, and the hustle and bustle of the city streets on a Monday night fill the air here in Chicago, a new noise is about to roar through that crisp Midwestern air this evening. The sound of those naturally aspirated V8s are about to roar here in Grant Park, as for the first time ever, the Garage Shop College Cup Series is going street course racing. Welcome in, everybody, to the virtual Chicago Street Course at Grant Park here in Chicago, Illinois, for the Garage Shop College Cup Series, race number 12. It's the Market Crash 100, presented by CIL. Pleasure to have you joining us here tonight. Up here in the booth, it's producer Christian Hill, co-commentator Brad Daniels, and myself, Alex Gagnon, welcoming you in if you missed the pre-show. We had the opportunity to talk with Lucas Moody, who was a very fun interview earlier on in the pre-show. But as for the race that's about to unfold on track, Brem, I think this is also going to be a lot of fun. But more importantly, for the drivers, it's going to be a test of who doesn't overdo it. This is a long race, and I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of cars run into issues early, and only those who can really manage this bumpy surface are going to be able to make it to the end.
Yeah, and as Lucas said too, like the walls come at you quick at this track. You know, everyone's going to have to try and know their braking spot, their braking zones, and then also make sure when they're overdoing it, they are definitely going to get on those brakes and make sure they don't plow it right into that wall right in front of them, because that will destroy every single car here today if they overestimate where the braking zone is. But, you know, here at Chicago, you watch the race live and in, you know, real life, it's great racing. As you see here, almost a 2.25 mile track, 12 turns here today. And you can see it's obviously a fairly recent course that, you know, got incorporated into NASCAR and now into the CIL. And it is definitely going to be one to watch, because we have not seen what these drivers can do here. We've seen what they can do at a track that NASCAR has never gone to in Road Atlanta, and we've seen how the CIL takes on walk-ins and other road courses. But I think here today, this is the first street course that these drivers are going to have to try and test their skills of both road courses and just overall race prowess.
Yeah, and I think this is a really unique challenge. You see there at the bottom left of your screen, this track concept was actually designed initially in iRacing to test its feasibility. NASCAR worked with iRacing to create this track, create the simulation on what this would look like. Could it work? Could it run? And when they eventually got the tuning of it right, they debuted it at the 2023 race that was obviously so famous. Shane Van Gisbergen winning in his Cup debut, the first time anyone had done that in almost 70 years. Could we see that here tonight? Well, it's a possibility. We got a couple of road course ringers who are throwing their hat into the ring. We'll see if they're able to make it happen here tonight. But I think it should be a lot of fun. You see there also in the background this track map. A lot of 90-degree turns just with the way Grant Park is laid out, so it'll be very critical for drivers to get comfortably down the speed under braking before they make that turn in. Otherwise, if they overshoot it, to what Brad, you were saying, they will end up face first in the fence, and that is a very quick way to end your day here. And now, while we've got a second, I want to take an opportunity to thank the people who make this series possible each and every week, starting with the Garage Shop, the race car fabrication company building some of the most unique cars, trucks, and off-road vehicles around. Their motto of honoring the racers who came before us and putting our competitors behind us resonates with all here in the CIL. You can check them out at thegarageshop200.com. Cannot stress enough how cool their website is. You should absolutely take a look at it. They've put some incredible machines together. And we want to thank them for being the season-long partner here of the College Cup Series. In addition, I want to thank ECAC Esports, adding value to its member schools by enhancing the competitive experience for hundreds of students seeking to participate in intercollegiate esports. As well as the Mcconey Setup Shop, the home for setups, paint schemes, coaching, and more, the official setup shop of eNASCAR, and the Garage Shop College Cup Series. You can visit McConeySetupShop.com today to subscribe. And of course, Whiplash SimCams, an iRacing and esports media group specializing in racing and team graphics, iRacing camera packs, and other broadcasting resources. I want to thank all four of them so heavily for being season-long partners here of the Garage Shop College Cup Series. Could not make this series happen without each of their help. And we've put together probably the best College Cup Series on record here in Season 12, in large part thanks to their support. So qualifying is just about wrapped up. So in a minute here, we'll be able to take an onboard lap. Yeah, so we'll be able to take an onboard lap in a minute or two here once qualifying wraps. Drivers have an extra 5 minutes more than normal tonight to set their hot time. Typically, it is 5 minutes of qualifying before we jump into the race tonight. They get 10, so they can run their 3 laps and have enough time to do so, which I think is a good call, so they're not trying to rush through, put down 1 lap, and be like, okay, that's it, I'm done. So, Brad, we've been talking a little bit, you mentioned it particularly in the pre-race show, of some of the drivers to keep an eye out for. Guys like Clint Halterman, Jake Cummings, and of course, Muhammad Alif. But several of those drivers are going to be, starting from the back of the field tonight with EOL stuff from events from previous races. Qualifying isn't done yet. We'll see the grid in a minute here, but who stands out to you as someone folks should keep their eye on tonight? Maybe not even the win, but just someone to be like, oh, if you see that car, keep your eyes on them, either because they're going to be moving toward the front or at least making something special happen out on track.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of guys. Obviously, there's a lot of movement with how these penalties are going to sort out, and everyone's going to be going up and down, but like Clint Halterman, we've seen him do a lot of great racing at Watkins. I think Watkins Glen, he is so great at, but not only at Watkins, he can do it all pretty much when it comes to these road courses. And he's, been a part of very great racing at, Road Atlanta and everything back through the seasons that he's been a part of the CIL. So I think he's someone to watch out for. Along with that, Hunter Hidesti, someone we don't typically see at all, is, in the Oval Series. He has risen and he is here currently with a pretty fast lap in qualifying.
And he does. He's pretty up there. A couple of names of folks who we've seen a good bit of this year, but maybe not enough of. Ricky Paz, who joined us in the show last week after his podium finish, he's looking pretty sharp out there at the moment. Guys like Brian Whitlock, Keegan Kalick. There's a couple of these guys who I'm really excited to see what they bring to the table here tonight, because it could be a career-defining night for a couple of these drivers coming out. But at this point, qualifying has concluded. So let's take a look here at an onboard lap of Chicago. This is going to be the most important qualifying onboard we'll have all season long. So not only you get to see what a driving lap here, but also get a sense for the corners. So we'll walk you through it here. They're on board Lucas Moody as he makes his way into turn 1 of this street course, a 90-degree left-hander. And he was our pre-race interview. He'll be giving us the ride along here of this lap, now diving into section 2, and then this long straightaway into this side of the course. Get a couple of tight corners in sequence here going through turns 3, a nice little high-speed right-hander into a significantly tighter right-hander in turn 4. That's a big opportunity to make something happen. And then it's so critical here through 5 to get a good run down this back straightaway, Brad, as they fire into 6.
Yeah, and I think the one thing all of these drivers are going to have to realize, obviously, there's a lot of straights here, so the exits coming out of these turns are so crucial. As you see Lucas Moody taking that 90-degree left-hand turn in through turn 6, and then it comes to, the very unique part of Chicago, going in the 90-degree right-hander here in turn 7, and quickly getting to turn 8, where you're going to have this semicircle left-handers. You see Lucas making it through. This is technically turn 9 now, as you're going through this, and really, you can't really prepare for this other than the Chicago street course. You see him coming through 10 and now taking turn 11, going across this, McDonald's bridge and taking it into the right-hander. That is turn 12. And as you can see, the Ball State University machine, there's pit road right there. And just like that, that is 1 lap here at Chicago. And, even though this obviously is a huge track, a minute and a half for over a 2-mile track is pretty quick when it comes to a lot of these 90-degree corners.
Yeah, and this is one of those tracks that's so aggressive on how you get on and off the brakes, and giving yourself the proper time to get up the speed, throttling up, is so important to set yourself up nicely for those long straightaways, and then not to over smoke the brakes going into those hard, heavy braking 90-degree corners. It's a really unique challenge, and I don't know who's going to be up for the task here tonight, but it'll be fun to see who's going to come out on top in this one. But while we have a second, let's go to the grid and show you tonight's starting lineup for the Market Crash 110. Muhammad Alif put up the fastest time here tonight, a 1:26.372. Of course, he will shuffle toward the back with those penalties from last week at Kentucky, but he rolls off technically in the top position. Ryan Whitlock from the University of Alabama, Huntsville, nearly a second off. 127.24 will be the fastest time starting at the front of the grid. Just a blazingly fast lap there from our Muhammad Ali. Row 2 will be UNC Charlotte's Jared Kaler. Never won in the College Cup Series on a road course, looking to change that here tonight. And Jake Cummings looking to keep those slim championship hopes alive here tonight, rolling off 4th. Daniel Nanny rolls off 5th here tonight for Ball State alongside Keegan Kalick in the number 29 for St. Clair College. Row number 4, it'll be Kelton Quick from Ball State University looking to pick up his second win of the year alongside Clinton Halterman, who's looking for his third. And in row number 5, it'll be the road course ringer Hunter Hidest, Clemson University, and Lucas Moody from Ball State, who we talked to in the pre-show.
Starting in row 6, we have Jason Wallet from Drexel University. To his outside, Nick Henley from Ball State. In row 7, we have Wyatt Burton from Trine University making his appearance here in the Oval Series. And to his outside, Ricky Paz from East Carolina University. Drew Williams from Clemson University lining up on the inside of his teammate Andrew Burrell from Clemson. Starting 17th, Riley Birkins from New England College, and to his outside, Connor Zabosian from Kettering University. And rounding out your top 20, it is Brandon Schoenberger from Wingate, and to his outside, Nick Stockner from Clemson.
Back in the 21st position here tonight will be Esteban Munoz from SIU, Zach DeWale from St. Clair College are alongside him. Ben Neller from Ball State University rolls off in the 23rd position. Brendan Lyman, the University of Colorado Denver, 24th. Row 13 will be Edward Sanchez at Burke College and Grant Schiller from St. Clair. Behind them, it'll be the number 27 of Caleb Winslow rolling off in P27. Michael James from Drexel in P28. Matthew Nordberg from NC State and the Wolfpack machine rolls off 29th. Cade Corbin in the 08 of Alabama Huntsville will be rolling off alongside him.
Rounding out your field, Dwayne Young from Kettering University. To his outside, Jack Wilson from the University of North Georgia. Ethan Decatur from Valparaiso, and to his outside, Robbie Hotchkiss from New England College. And rounding out your field, Wesley Shaw from Texas A&M University, Texarkana.
And it's worth noting a couple of those times, I believe, were not within the 107% rule set to qualify for tonight's race. So I believe everybody from Caleb Winslow on back actually will not be allowed to start this event. So only 26 cars going to be officially taking the grid, despite 35 attempting to qualify here tonight. Crazy turn of events, but I mean, Armand leaves just so much faster than cut that 107% mark a lot shorter, I think, than a lot of drivers may have anticipated, which is a tough break for them. But we will have 26 cars ready to rumble from Chicago. And it's worth noting there'll be several drivers who will be starting tonight's event from the tail end of the field, post-race EOL, after, you know, those wrecks at the tail end of the race at Kentucky last week. We mentioned Dar Muhammad Ali, Jake Cummings, another one of those drivers who will be having to deal with that. Michael James from Drexel, a part of that group. Riley Birkins, Drew Williams, Cade Corbin, amongst others. So there's quite a few drivers who will have their work cut out for them here tonight. It will certainly shuffle up this field a little bit. And I believe that will make the front row then, Brad, Jared Kaler, Ryan Whitlock, if you want to take us through tonight's race analysis.
Yeah, and I mean, this front row, you got a lot of different historic paths here. You got Ryan Whitlock, who is always fast here at road courses, and Jared Kaler, who's, like you said before, been, you know, fast on ovals, but when it comes to road courses, he has yet to get that first win of his CIL career. So we'll see if tonight can change that. But looking at the weather conditions here in Chicago, definitely warmer than it is today in real life at a crisp 73 degrees, and, you know, a pretty good wind coming out of the south at 18 miles an hour, just enough probably to make a little bit of difference, not too much though. And obviously, I mean, you guys can see there's 5 sets of tires for this 50-lap race. If, you know, they go through all 5 tire sets, it's going to be a wonder, Alex.
Yeah, to be entirely honest with you, if they use more, like if they even use like 2 sets over the wall, I think I'd be shocked. So you see the pace car leading the field here. They're doing a full pace lap give the drivers one more chance to get their bearings about them, going side by side through some of these corners. A lot of these corners are at most 2 wide corners, and sometimes not even that much, depending on the angle you take. That being one of them. And you see just how difficult it is to get around here when you're battling for position. It is truly a testament of how ambitious are you going to be, how daring are you going to be while still being able to keep yourself in one piece. A lot of drivers going to be asking themselves tonight. So Jared Kaler, Ryan Whitlock set to go for the first ever street course race here in the CCS. Daniel Nandy, Keegan Kalick, Kelton Quick, Clinton Halterman sitting behind them. And I think this is about to be an absolute blast. Here we go. Down over the bridge into turn 12, the final corner of the track. Pace car is going to peel off down pit road. And for the first time ever, we are going to be street course racing here in the CIL. And Jared Kaler going to lead him into turn 1. Gets on the brakes early. And boy, things getting stacked up behind him.
You can see an absolute parking lot there for the guys in the back there that got the domino effect. But Ryan Whitlock is going to be able to take the lead here. And Keegan Kalick gets 3rd place away for the moment. But now you can see everyone's trying to figure out, trying to get at least single file and get their bearings here. As you see, really, the top 10 are all about getting into that single file line. You can see Ryan Whitlock getting a little bit of a lead here, almost a second already coming through turn 5.
Yeah, that was a critical move in turn 1 for Ryan Whitlock. Got him the track position that he's going to need here tonight. And it's going to be setting sail in the early going without having the traffic in front of him that he needs to pass. This is the best place to be in the early going. Kaler settles into second ahead of Kalick, Nanny, and Halterman. And things were getting dicey deep in the field. But on board here with the driver of the 81, nothing but clean streets in front of him. Just a matter of keeping that car set up exactly the way you want. As you see, he is absolutely muscling back around the fountain section and back up toward turn 12 and the start-finish line.
And obviously everyone taking it, cool, concealed here, but obviously there's no full course yellows unless the stewards deem so. So obviously these guys, if they wreck, they're going to have to figure out to rejoin safely and make sure no one else is going to get affected by their wrecks. But, so far this, race, you've seen a couple guys obviously stack it up in the turn 1, but in the front at least, it's been a pretty clean race. Obviously, we haven't seen too much side-by-side through, after turn 2 on the first lap, but Ryan Whitlock right now doing a great job of trying to increase his lead as much as possible.
You see cars starting to get strung out a little bit here. Battle a little deeper in the field. There's Jake Cummings, who is now filtered back onto track. Him, Muhammad Alif, and others were cars who had to wait the opening lap before they were allowed to take the green due to the end of last week. So you see the 95 back on the path here, going to try to work his way up toward the front of the field. He's running with the cars who are about the top 10 right now, in between Ricky Paz, Hunter Hidesi. That's 8th and 9th. You see Muhammad Alif just up there in that yellow car, number 12. That is the first car of those who are a lap down, trying to get back onto the lead lap here in the early going due to those pre-race penalties, but already making some good headway. Is second, third, and fourth starting to get stacked up here a little bit, Brad, as they make their way into turn 12. Jared Kaler has got a lot of company for that second spot.
Yeah, and right now you got a UNC Charlotte sandwich because Clint Halterman is trying to join the party as well. But right now, Daniel Nanny, Keegan Kalick on the back door of Jared Kaler. And this is what Ryan Whitlock wants to see. As you see, he just put down the fastest lap right after Daniel Nanny just did right there. But these guys obviously going to have to set up their moves precisely. I mean, obviously, compared to an oval, this is going to be a lot more strategic. And these guys, obviously with the road racing prowess, are going to know when these passing zones come up and when not to pass. Because I know, obviously, with like turn 7 and through that whole section, it's going to be a heck of a hard time to try to pass anyone. So you want to try and do your moves early in this track. And, obviously, we haven't seen that so much here in this group of 4 right now, trying to chase down Ryan Whitlock, who's doing almost a humongous job here. As he's almost pulled out to 2 seconds ahead of this group.
Yeah, Whitlock has looked calm and collected here in the opening couple laps. You see we're only on lap 3. All of those brake rotors are glowing pretty bright already. You see now filing through 2nd through 5th. You could throw a blanket over all of them as Kaler is not able to get away from Kaler right now. Daniel Nanny laying in wait just behind him. Halterman in the mix. This is where the battling is here in the top 5. It's basically everyone not named Ryan Whitlock. We'll see if anyone tries to make a move here down the front straightaway. It'll be critical to get a good launch here off the 12. I think the 29 really got the hammer down all right. He might have an opportunity to close that gap up to the 58.
And
he's going for it.
Ooh, an absolute dive into turn 1 is going to get him that 2nd position. Kaler really had no defense for that as Calic was able to just send it up the inside. And now he's going to try and track down Ryan Whitlock, and Daniel Nanny's right on the back door of that 58. And really, Jared Kaler is trying to just keep every spot he possibly can. He did a great job on defending those 3 guys the last couple of laps, but Calic eventually got too tired of just sitting behind the 58, got right around him, and now Nanny, taps the inside wall a tiny bit, and now Clint Halterman's going to jump to the inside coming out of 5, going down the backstretch here into turn 6.
And this is the critical thing, is that it is very tough to make passes here unless you pull a move like Kaler did to get in there on Jared Kaler and make something happen. But a lot of times you can get positions here just by keeping the pressure up on the person in front of you, baiting them into a small mistake, either overdriving a corner or just clipping the wall somewhere, and then you're able to capitalize. That's how Clint Halterman now has shuffled up the 4th, and now what was once a UNC Charlotte sandwich has now made a sandwich of UNC Charlotte, going from 2nd to 5th, now the 3rd and 4th, and it might be falling back there. The 007 got real loose off of 11. Nanny going to take a peek to the inside, and 12, that is a tight corner to try to make a move. And almost was able to make something happen, but not quite. And you see just behind them, that yellow car of Muhammad Alif is the top car, I believe, 1 lap down, trying to get back onto the lead lap after that penalty. Just ran the fastest lap of the race, about 9/10 faster than the previous fast lap. So he is making some serious headway right now.
And obviously, I mean, these, you got a lot of guys who are going to be a lap down, and obviously at these road courses, there's not any type of lucky dog, really, because unless there's a parking lot on the track, there's not going to be a full course yellow. So, these guys have to organically battle their way through this field if they want to get back on the lead lap, just in case something happens like that. But right now, obviously, Muhammad Alif is going to have to battle through the, fastest guys in this field right now, as you see Daniel Nanny looking at the back bumper of the 007 coming through turn 6. And, I think a lot of these guys obviously are going to have to get used to looking to the back bumper, as you said, Alex, and try to intimidate some of these guys. But right now, I mean, Clint Halterman obviously does not want to get too much on the back bumper of his teammate Jared Kaler, just in case something bad happens there. You extend your braking zone a little bit. It can mean disaster. As we look back here at Zach DeWale, currently in 11th. And it looks like it's just a gaggle car. Munoz gets a little bit of a punch to the back bumper by Drew Williams.
And Drew Williams lost a lot of time from doing that. He got into the back bumper and then fell way back off him. It's allowed Wallet and Zabosian here to try to close the gap a little bit. You see, this is 11th through 15th right now running on track. His new fastest lap once again goes to Alif, a 1:27.4, another 6/10 faster than his previous fast lap. The dude's flying right now. Here we go. Battle for 3rd. Halterman trying to get around teammate Jared Kaler. You got Daniel Nanny just behind him. And there's Kaler absolutely trying to wheel this thing. He's not looked particularly comfortable tonight trying to get that number 58 machine around this place, particularly when people have been trying to send it up the inside like that. Contact with him and the 30 and Nanny, and they're going to be side by side down the backstretch in the 6th.
He's trying to save something here on his left-hand side. So you can see he's having trouble. I mean, obviously, Muhammad Alif punched a hole for his teammate Daniel
He's just
Nanny
got
to
the
get
actual
through.
shifter. I think he's got an actual shifter there that he's going through the gears.
Oh, no, the gear shift is to his right. So, yeah, there's something else going over to his left. I wonder what. But, yeah, right now you can see just the handful Jared Kaler is dealing with here, going around all of these different corners. And, obviously this is going to build a lot of shoulder strength for these guys the next hour and a half here.
Yeah, no kidding. It's going to be a long night if that's how hard he's got to be working the wheel here. But so Kaler's, we'll see if he goes to it again. Whatever he was been trying to fix, maybe he's addressed it. Now, the producer Christian was saying that he was trying to fiddle with something there by the window. Either way, we jump up here to this battle for 8th. A couple of guys who have found some success not too long ago on the road courses. Ricky Paz, Hunter Hidesti, 8th and 9th, and they are in their own little world right now. Nobody is near them on track except for themselves, and they are going the war for P8.
Yeah, I mean, and Hunter Hidesti's teammate, Andrew Burrell, right there, you can see 5 seconds behind this pairing, and these guys are still 4 seconds behind Nick Henley. So these guys, obviously, like you said, on a world of their own, battling it out, and, you know, whenever you have that battle going on, I mean, Ricky Paz right now is definitely watching that mirror, making sure Hunter doesn't pull any surprise moves into some of these corners. But these two have had experience with each other on the roadside, and obviously with this big next-gen car, it's obviously a little bit more of a handful at times. So these guys definitely trying to figure out each other's tempos here, and Hunter currently trying to figure a way around the ECU machine. But, you know, obviously Ricky doing a great job at defending, and you know, these guys obviously are going to have to battle it out throughout this entire race. We're on lap 7, and, you know, it does seem like we should be a little further than lap 7 with how much time has gone by, but, you know, these guys are in for a long race, Alex.
It is a bit of a marathon out here tonight. It's also worth noting we're getting our first couple of DNFs already. Reportedly, Brandon Schulenberger from Wingate and FIU's Esteban Munoz, both out of this race. As you see, Hidesti here going to maybe take a look to the inside going into turn 1. Has a nose to the inside of the 19. Is he going to try to make it work? Yes, he does. And the 888 of Hunter Hidesti, at least temporarily, has the spot. Ricky Paz, though, going to be in the preferred spot here through 2. Oh, and it's going to be a drag race going through the high-speed corner. How are they going to sort this out before that tight turn 4?
It's going to be able to come back on top. There's you see, slides right up in front of Hunter Hidesti, able to keep the 8th position, doing a great job at defending and not giving up through turns 2. And it was, you know, obviously that road racing prowess is going to help you a lot, but Hunter obviously has a little bit, it seems like, faster car in that back section along with turn 1. So it seems like these guys are just trading their preferred lines and preferred sections. And right now, I mean, Hunter's going to have to find a great spot to get around Ricky, because Ricky seems to have it whenever he has someone to obviously either side of his car right now.
Yeah, so we've had a fantastic battle going over the past couple of laps here with these two. Here's a replay of what happened to Brandon Schulenberger. We were telling you he was out of this race early. Only a couple laps in, was running around the 15th-ish position at the time. Goes here through turn 1. No issues there. Looks like to go into turn 2. Still seems all good and fine, so I don't think this was the particular replay we were looking. Oh, yeah, look at the speed he carried in here to, I think that's 4. And just head first into the tire barrier, towed back to pit road, and that's all she wrote for the Wingate car tonight.
Drew Williams barely gets out of that as well, but we're going to ride on board here with the Wingate machine right into that tire barrier. Absolutely no flex with those tires. You can see it again here from the rear view spoiler cam. And Drew Williams lurking behind, barely getting by a couple sparks.
Now, there might be a little bit of left side damage there to the 100. He did not hit through that completely unscathed, but enough to get through relatively all right. Here's the 100. We'll take a look here real quick to see if there is any damage on that left side of the car. A little tough to tell from that angle. This would be a good one. Yeah, looks like a little scraped up.
Got a battle behind now as Zach DeWale and Jason Wallet try to figure it out here in turn 7. DeWale's able to keep the position for now, but just wanted to make a little... Whoa, Drew Williams is off.
Drew Williams had some issues there getting through the fountain section. Lucas Moody trying to capitalize in 12. Boy, they both almost ended up in the fence there. It's been a rough couple of laps here for Drew Williams. just trying to keep this thing in one piece as more and more bits of that 100 car getting shaved off.
Taking a look back here, I mean, we were just riding on board with him. And obviously, I mean, with the 100 right now, I mean, a lot of these guys, if they can keep the car clean, you know, that's a guaranteed probably top 15. As you see the 100 now coming through turn 9 where everything happened. He was taking that left-hander, and just gets loose. And I thought, okay, it doesn't hit anything except for the back bumper a little bit. I thought there was a little bit more damage associated with that, but luckily for the 100, nothing too much to take home there, thankfully.
Yeah, not too bad, all things considered there for the 100. We jump up here. This is the battle for third. Clinton Halterman, Daniel Nanny. These two have not been able to get separated all night long. And I got to imagine the only driver not be too concerned to see Daniel Nanny looming in the rear window, or the rear mirror there, would be the Clinton Halterman machine. Those guys have raced each other really, really hard the past few weeks. And they've been trading victories left and right. And they are closing in here on Keegan Kalick, who's had a phenomenal start to this race. Started in the 6th position, moves up the P2, and has just been cruising along since. He's about 5.5 seconds adrift of race leader Ryan Whitlock. You see the onboard there with Keegan. And, you know, he's got himself a really nice setup road race. Nice little mirror of a 3-screen window. He's got himself in a really, really good spot right now. St. Clair College running in that 2nd position.
And obviously, I mean, Keegan has his hands full, but he has really no one in front of him outside of Muhammad Ali. But battling for position-wise, Ryan Whitlock 5 seconds ahead. As you see Daniel Nandy sending it to the inside of Clint Halterman. Halterman going to give him that room, and obviously gets a little loose coming off of the corner. Now coming into turn 7, Clint's going to be able to keep that position, get back in line behind Keegan. And, you know, right now, Keegan wants to see that too-wide drama happening. So obviously he can get a little bit room between the cars behind him and, you know, get into that gap in front as we ride on board here with the Ball State machine of Daniel Nanny coming through turn 9, going into 10 and 11. You can just see, I mean, obviously it looks like they're going a lot faster than they actually are compared to a lot of these tracks, but I think Keegan gets a little loose coming out of that corner. Is going to give Clint Halterman the inside. Halterman diving it down in there. Daniel Nandy's going to follow through as well. St. Clair College right now is battling out for 3rd place with Ball State. Daniel Nandy, Keegan Kalick coming down front stretch here across the start-finish line, going in the 1. The 29 has that inside preferred line as Armaham Leaf keeps it going. And right now, you can see the 29 still nose-to-nose with the 30, but the 30 has a preferred line. And it looks like Daniel Nandy's going to be able to take that 3rd position away from the St. Clair machine. And now Keegan's going to try to have to rebound after dropping a couple positions and now make his way back to Clint Halterman, who's almost back up to a 2nd between these guys.
Yeah, and you could see a little bit of the frustration there on Keegan's face. I can't say I blame him. Runs 2nd for about the opening 10, 11, 12 laps of this race, and within about 3 corners falls from 2nd to 4th. Just wrong place, wrong time. But, you know, still in position here to keep himself in the hunt. You know, the last thing you want to do is get down and out on a road course that's this long, because all it takes is something like that. The 30 locked it up going into 6, hit that wall. And as we were just talking about it, Daniel Nanny loses that position back to Keegan Kalick. The 30 now drops to 4th, and he has got some pretty significant right front damage.
I mean, we saw Daniel Nandy. I mean, these guys have been battling it all out, and the moment they seem to have it settled, you can see the 30 just takes it a little too hot going into 6, slams that outside wall. Like Lucas Moody said in the pre-race, that thing will come up quick, and it did for the 30. And that's going to give him a ton of damage on that right front, as you can see there. Drew Williams from Clemson, you can see coming down the front stretch having, huge hit into the tire barriers along with Jason Wallet. That's going to, wow, the 100 hits that wall hard. It's the same turn that we saw Daniel Nandy take too long, and you can see headlong into the tire barriers, the 100. And that is just going to add more, just more icing to the cake there. As you can see, the 100 takes it off the side and just sends it back to pit road. That is day ended for the Clemson machine.
Yeah, that's a heavy bit of contact. It also sounds like the 56 of Brennan Lyman's also out of this one at this point. It's been we're reaching that point in the race now where it sounds like, tires are starting to go away a little bit. Braking zones have to get backed up just a little bit more, and cars are starting to lock up a little bit easier than they were in the early going. Here's what happened to the Colorado Denver driver of Brendan Lyman. Yeah, just head first into turn 7. It's also worth noting here, folks, as we're watching this replay of Brendan Lyman. I figured I'll just float this out there for anyone who's been keeping track of it. On pure pace here, Muhammad Ali has closed into the back bumper of Ryan Whitlock to get his lap back. And there is the other incident to Brendan Lyman sliding hard into that tire barrier. Got things really out of sorts. As laps continue to tick away, and the field's starting to thin out here a little bit with cars who just simply have not been able to adjust as the tires have gone away.
But, obviously his tires have not gone away. These two have not gone away from each other. Ricky Paz, Hunter Hidesi still battling it out here. I mean, I don't know how many times we tuned back in, and it seems like they are within the same exact frame. Like, these guys are just stuck to each other. And Hunter Hidesi, I don't know if he's faster than Ricky right now, but it seems like either Ricky is putting on a show of defense or, something's going on here, because Hunter Hidesi has not been able to get around the 19, and these two at this point seem like they're draft partners at a super speedway, just kind of tangoing around this track, one behind the other.
I watched this scene with how much separation they have from the rest of the field in both directions, and I can't help but think of that nice little pleasure cruise with Lightning McQueen and Sally, first Cars movie, when they're going down up to the old Wheelwell Motel or whatever it was. I mean, they're just going for a nice Monday night stroll with each other and nobody else. As things are getting really animated here, Ben Neller, Riley Perkins door-to-door through 4 and 5. Boy, that is a really, really tough place to try to make a pass that Perkins went to the outside on.
And I mean, Neller did a great job of defending there, and you can see he's just, obviously, I think these guys that are a little further back outside the top 10 are just trying to keep the car in one piece, because as we've seen, people are just going to keep dropping as time goes on with the wear on the tires, and then people are going to forget what those fresh tires feel like after driving all these laps on some worn tires on this street course. So, these guys are just trying to keep it in one piece, trying to keep the tires at least feasible, and, you see here that obviously Ben Neller able to get a little bit of a gap away from Riley Perkins. So, all it takes is really one mistake for a lot of these guys to get into some trouble. But unless you're some of these groups like, Ricky Paz, Hunter Hidesi, those two battling out, but no one around them. And then, Jared Kaler, Daniel Nanny, a little bit close to each other with Keegan Kalick. And, those guys all on an island of their own. And right now looking at Ethan Decatur in that 111 machine.
Yeah, the 111 machine, you see some heavy front-end damage for him, currently running one lap down in the 23rd position. The Vortex machine just trying to get around the track here as this race continues. We see a lot of cars out here right now who are logging laps and trying to nurse a little bit of damage. And amongst them is that 111 machine. It's also worth noting Muhammad Ali just got back on the lead lap here on lap 16. Alif has gotten around Ryan Whitlock, so still a minute 28 adrift of getting up to the lead, but it only took him 16 laps to make up about a 10-second deficit to the 81. Curious to see how much of that time he'd get back here in the closing some, especially with a pit stop still to go, as the fuel window is estimated to be around 30-35 laps tonight, as Nanny looks to make a move back here on Keegan Kalick going into turn 4. And it looks like he's going to be able to get at that right front damage, not slowing him down. And he'll move back up in the P3, although they have a lot of work to do to catch up to Clint Halterman.
I mean, yeah, you can see Muhammad Ali here. I mean, he just got past Ryan Whitlock. There's Whitlock just a little bit behind. So right now, Ali now actually battling for position with some of these guys on track. As you can see now, he's currently sitting in the 20th position, I believe, or a little bit higher than that. So now 19th, as you can see at the bottom of your screen. So the Ball State machine has some work to do to try and get a break point stay out of today. I mean, obviously starting a lap down, I think obviously with how his the situation the Leafs in now, he could potentially end up with a top 10 with everything, going for him. Obviously, he has the speed, he has the fastest lap, so he has that. And, if you're going to ask anyone in this field to, get that lap back and still end up in a really great position, I think you're going to watch that number 12 machine, as he's still now up in the 18th.
Yeah, he is just absolutely flying right now. And the big thing, I think, if you're Ryan Whitlock, is you see how much faster the 12 is, but you can't get too panicked about it. You just have to keep going, running your race. You have a full lap advantage over the 12, and, that is a finite number of laps here. You just got to keep doing what you're doing. You got to keep your eyes behind you, that 4-second gap back to Halterman if you're the 81 machine. And Ryan Whitlock has had a really strong start to this race, has led every lap to this point. It has been a dream start for the 81, and now it's just a matter of continuing to hit your marks and chug away here on these laps as we'll jump back on board with the UAH machine. You see he is still wheeling this thing just as much as he was on lap 1.
You can see the monitors also bobbling on his in-car cam there. So obviously this place is really bumpy. We've said it time in, time out, and you can see it there, how much it's just shaking his desk, trying to get around these corners quickly as you see some lap traffic up ahead. I believe that's Cade Corbin that is right now ahead of Ryan Whitlock. And, as much as you don't want to go a lap down here at Chicago, do I have a caution? We have a caution.
The yellow flag has flown for the first time here tonight. And that would only happen as if there was some sort of track blockage here on the road course, which is a huge break for Ben Neller, who just got put a lap down. He'll get the free pass. We'll have to find out what happened here to Riley Burkins and Ethan Decatur, because this was not in the cards at all here tonight. May have been the 31. Let's see if we can find out what happened.
"31 sideways on track there. You can see spun out, trying to safely rejoin if he can. That's obviously a really tight spot. It looks like that was the reason for the caution, being he was taking up half of the track there, being sideways. Man, oh man, that's going to throw a huge wrench into some of these guys' plans. And also, some of these drivers, like you said, Ben Neller, Muhammad Alif, now going to be able to catch up to the rest of this field. And, a couple of these guys, obviously, it's time for a pit stop. But, I mean, Jake Cummings also, it was close to getting that lap back as well. And unfortunately, he had 2 cars in front of him that were a lap down. So he unluckily doesn't get that lucky dog. He's going to have to try and organically get that back like he was the first 20 laps. But Alex, with, still not even more than half the race to go, what are these guys thinking now that Muhammad Alif is back?
Well, I think at this point, everyone knows that the car to beat is the 12. He's back on the lead lap. The field's going to be stacked back up together. That's a huge break for the 12. Gives him a legitimate chance to go out there and try to win this thing tonight. The other thing that's worth keeping an eye on is we had just gotten around to just before lap 20, and with the estimated fuel window being 30 to 35 laps here tonight, roughly speaking, people might be trying to stretch this thing on fuel all the way to the end. They'll make their stops here, and that might be the only time they need to come down pit tonight. So the field getting stacked up, I believe, behind the pace car. Ryan Whitlock just now going to be able to, or actually he's on the far side of the track. He's just making his way off of turn 5. So field has a lot of work to do to get all connected again. I think that's a huge break for a couple of cars we mentioned, obviously Relief, Neller, but also for some cars who just had some significant damage and were just trying to keep this thing afloat. Guys like Jason Wallet, who got caught up in the Drew Williams crash. He's going to have some time to get his damage repaired, which I think is really critical for him. Obviously, Daniel Nanny with that right front damage, that'll be a big break for him as well. There's a couple of cars, I think, who just, this caution has fallen at a perfect time, and then a couple, like you were saying with Jake Cummings, who are just wrong place, wrong time, and not going to be doing any favors.
mean, all these guys obviously were, keeping it steady, but now, like you said, Alex, even though they can make it to the end of this race on one more pit stop here, I mean, with the tires and how some of these guys have been trying to, make it last, I mean, we saw a lot of the guys at the front making it work, but a lot of those guys a little bit further back just were having so much trouble with those worn tires. I maybe see possibly, if I don't, I didn't think there would be a caution in the first place, but if another yellow comes out or some along the lines of like some strategy call, they could try and get some fresh tires and get going here as you see the leaders coming down pit road.
I think Keegan Kalick missed pit road. I think he completely overshot it, and now he is still out on track. There's a couple of cars who may have stayed out for the wave around, but I do not think the 29 meant to do that intentionally. So here we go into the boxes. Halterman now into his box. Whitlock into his box. Oh, he overshot it. That is not going to be ideal. Right sides go up on that, or left sides go up. Everything's inverted here at Chicago, much like Watkins Glen. Daniel Nanny, fuel only, going to win the race off of pit road. Halterman. And then it's going to be a drag race there between Whitlock and Nick Henley. Boy, Ryan Whitlock went out there to make sure he didn't lose any more positions on pit road. Nearly had to put himself in the tire barrier to do so. I do know someone a while ago asked if we have any non-U.S. based schools running here in the CIL at the moment, and look no further than the car who's going to be shuffling to the front of the field at the moment, whether intentionally or not. Keegan Kalick, St. Clair College, that is a school based up in Canada. So there is a little bit of international flair. Also just drivers from outside the U.S., obviously R. Muhammad Alif from Singapore originally, before coming over to Ball State for school. We've also had universities from both England and I believe Scotland participate in the CIL over the course of its about 5 years of operation now. Man, that's a crazy sentence to say, eh?
Right, yeah.
So there has been a bit of a mix here or there from other schools who have come to participate. Majority. We also have some drivers who, in other series beyond just this one, obviously the College Cup Series, based on NASCAR racing, which is predominantly big in the U.S., but our Formula College Series and our Sports Car Championship also have seen some other drivers, Germany, Hungary, China, several other countries who have found their way in once in a while into those series as well. So definitely an opportunity to get involved no matter where you're from. Shameless plug. If you want to join, you should definitely check out the Collegiate iRacingLeague.com. It's the brand new website for CIL. To learn more information about how to join, what's happening in the league, schedules, standings, the whole works. You'll want to check out that site, Collegiate iRacingLeague.com. Put together painstakingly and beautifully by our producer here tonight, Christian Hill. He's put a lot of work into making that site a reality, and definitely worth checking out. For more reasons than one. Not only for news and updates, but also just to get an idea of what's happening here in the CIL at any given point. So the lights are off on the pace car. It'll be Keegan Kalick, Daniel Nanny, your front row. Clint Halterman, Ryan Whitlock, Nick Henley, Jared Kaler, Kelton Quick, Lucas Moody, Hunter Hedesti, Ricky Paz. Your top 10. And I'm noticing a theme here, Brad. A lot of the Ball State drivers, quick stops, fuel only, to get themselves some track position. I'm curious to see if that works out for them in the long run, because it seems like just about every one of them did it.
Yeah, and I think obviously they're going to have to take another pit cycle here to get some fresh tires, but obviously for a lot of those guys, like you said, Nick Henley did a great job, and now Keegan Kalick is going to have to try and use those old rubbers against some of these guys with fresh rubbers, again, especially Daniel Nanny and Clint Haltman, Ryan Whitlock, pretty much everyone behind outside of Ball State's Nick Henley and a couple others. So, it's going to be tight here through this first lap. We saw it on the opening lap of this race, but I think it's definitely going to be a little more convoluted with a lot of different strategies going on here. And with any restart really here in the CIL, everything gets bobbled up, but especially at these road courses when everyone has a chance to pass somebody, everyone's going to try and take the chances that they got.
They'll make their way through the course here. I think one of the things that people need to definitely keep an eye out for is that bright yellow number 12 sitting in the 6th row. That is the closest our Muhammad Alif has been to the front of the field here today, and now with the field stacked up, I got to imagine within a couple of laps he's going to be to the front.
Starting this whole race, I didn't think Muhammad Alif had a shot to, really get anywhere near the top 3. But obviously, cautions got thrown into the mix and has gone his way. Now, obviously, going to have to try and battle through some other drivers. But he's got about 29 or 28 laps once they cross the line here to get back to that front. But right now, the front row, Keegan Cowick and Daniel Nanny, Ball State versus St. Clair. You got Ryan Whitlock, Clint Holtzman, Jared Kaler rounding out your top 5. And there's still, I think they extended the caution. It's getting ready to go there, but
yeah, I was about to say we were getting all fired up, ready to rock and roll, and the lights are off on the pace car, or on the pace car once again. So they'll do one more lap. I think we're going to step aside then for a super quick commercial break. When we come back, obviously continued coverage of the Market Crash 110 presented by CIL. We'll be right back in just a moment.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Mcconey.
With the launch of Mcconey Entertainment and Mcconey Competizone alongside Mcconey Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at McConeySetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Mcconey Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Hello, my name's Aaron Brown from the Garage Shop in Denver, North Carolina. We're here at the famous Bonneville Speedway in Wendover, Utah. One of the most harshest environments on the planet to race in, and that's why we need the best tools Snap-on has to offer. What we use here to pump up the oil in our race engines to prime them is this Snap-on screw gun. With its variable speed and high torque, this allows us to spin our oil pumps up to 1,500 RPMs, creating 70 pounds of oil pressure, which helps us get everything settled in, nice and happy, and turn the hot oil through the engine. Compact, lightweight, and able to fit in really tight spaces. Its 9-position clutch allows us to torque things, nuts, bolts, from 8-inch to 50-inch pounds. Small size and high performance helps us get into many places on a race car where normal tools can't. Under the dash and the engine compartment, we also use this to drill a lot of holes in very tight spots.
Welcome back, everyone, to Chicago. Here we go again, back to the start-finish line. Keegan Cowick, Daniel Nanny, St. Clair versus Ball State coming to the line for the green flag. Nose to nose coming through the front stretch here, going into turn 1.
Oh, Nanny's around. He lost it off the corner, and he got hit by his teammate, Nick Henley. That was a huge incident, and that is going to bring out our second caution of the day as things got stacked up at the exit of turn number 1. That's a brutal break there for the race leader, Daniel Nanny. points leader, sorry, not the race leader, but the points leader, Daniel, and he spun it off of turn 1 and got wicked sideways in front of the field and ultimately got collected by his own teammate, Nick Henley. Take one more look at this. Keep your eyes on that purple number 30 car. Just gets a little over anxious, I think, to get back on the throttle coming off the corner. He was also on those old tires, just like Kalik. He did not stop for tires on that pit stop and just could not keep that car glued to the track here through 1.
Obviously, you can see through the side-by-side racing here. Daniel Nanny just loops it around. I mean, barely grazes the wall there, but obviously a bunch of hungry racers right there. Nick Henley, unfortunately, in the path. Ball State gets collected, and almost Kelton Quick as well. But you see also Clemson involved. Hunter Hidesti, unfortunately, we saw him battling with Ricky Paz all that time, gets collected. Zach DeWale, I believe, gets out of it unscathed, but loses a couple positions. And Alex, I don't think the over-under for cautions here at Chicago was anything above 0.5, but we're already at caution number 2.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair with that one, I mean, with everything getting stacked up on the opening corner after a restart, I understand why the yellow was thrown there, because there was simply not going to be a way to sort that one out. On board with Nick Henley, restarted in the 5th position. We had a great spot here through the corner, and just, it's tough. You come off the corner, you're carrying all this momentum to the right, and then just coming back in front of you. Your own teammate then gets jacked up from behind by the 888, and everyone else just tries to shuffle their way on through. That's a tough break, and we'll take a look here also with Hunter Hidesti, the 3rd car, who got caught up in that one.
Ricky Paz is absolutely pushing Lucas Moody on the first stretch. You saw that, but Hunter Hidesti just diving it in there, obviously doing what he can and not seeing anything until it's too late, running it into the back of the 64. Honestly, out of the 3 cars involved, obviously the least amount of damage, but still is going to probably take it to pit road to get that damage mitigated. You have enough time here, obviously, under yellow to get everything squared away, so a lot of these guys obviously a lap down, also not looking forward to that, but Alex, I'm trying to see who the lucky dog is through that whole affair, and it might have been Jake Cummings, if I understand correctly.
I believe you might be right, and if that's the case, that's a huge break for the 95. Gets him back on the lead lap. He had pace that put him up in the 6th, and oh boy, heavy damage there for Edward Sanchez. What happened to the 26 car? This is... I don't actually know where this is. Oh, this is under yellow. He's trying to get caught back up to the field and just bins it into turn 12. And that is some terminal damage to the Baruch College car.
Oh, yeah, that right front wheel not moving at all. I bet the left ones look the same, and I mean... I don't know if there's been harder accidents so far this season, but that car looked like it was in so much more pain than like a bunch of those other hard hits we've seen so far this season.
Yeah, damage model was not kind to Sanchez that time around. Well, lights are on the pace car. They're not gridded up 2 by 2, which means it sounds like a perfect time for us to also step away for a second. Another quick commercial break. We'll be back in just a moment with continued coverage of the Market Crash 110. You don't want to go anywhere because we still have half the race to sort out here in just a moment.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Mcconey.
With the launch of Mcconey Entertainment and Mcconey Competizone alongside Mcconey Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at McConeySetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Mcconey Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
In the heart of competition, where speed is the language spoken, and victory is the only currency that matters. With every turn, every heartbeat, they race toward destiny. For in this moment, amidst the roaring engines and silent prayers, heroes will rise and legends will be born. Only a handful have ever become champion. That's what's at stake tonight. Under the glaring lights, 4 drivers stand at the crossroads of history, and in the end, only one will emerge as champion.
As you stand upon the edge, woven by a single thread.
This is the championship race. This is the ultimate showdown. This is history in the making.
All right, folks, we are back here just about ready to kick off the second half of this event here from the Chicago Street Course. Pace car peels off, green flag back in the air. Halterman, Whitlock, and Kaler going to lead them down in the turn number 1.
Lucky Paws gets a little late on the brakes. A couple. Ooh.
A Leaf and DeWale go T-boning into turn number 1. Going to collect Grant Schiller as well. I think the 519 had a brake failure or something. He went flying into turn 1 and absolutely wiped out the 12 of our Muhammad Ali. Unbelievable turn of events.
Holy moly.
I'll have to take another look at that. I mean, the 12 just got demolished there. The 519 locked it up something fierce, and that is going to cost Alif a ton of time and potentially a car necessary to win this event. Oh, Schiller got into the back of DeWale. That's what happened there. The 519 got on the brakes and the 17 locked it up. And this cue ball.
The teammates hit each other here, as you can see. I mean, even there's a lot of St. Clair action going on back here, but you can see Grant Schiller. Turn 1 is decisive, and obviously he locks it up going into turn 1, hits his teammate, the 519, and just a absolute domino effect, unfortunately, for the 12, right in harm's way, just getting sent around into that tire barrier. Not much you could do if you're Muhammad Ali. Everyone trying to dive it to the inside, as you can see, and man, oh man, turn 1 obviously has been pretty much a graveyard for these past couple of restarts. As you see, Nick Stockner around. Keegan Kalik around as well.
Kalik and Stockner around on the front straightaway. They get it righted. They get it going. We stay green because it did not block the track. That's the important criteria to note, folks. The cautions are only getting thrown if it completely blocks up the track. And let's see what happened here with Stockner. He's battling with Hidesti. The 124 gets a little loose. Yeah, just clips the 29, and both of them end up in the fence. Looks like everyone else is able to get around them. And we stay green, but man, it has not been a great couple of laps here for the St. Clair cars. DeWale, Kalick, and Schiller all caught up in something. Ricky Paz with some significant damage to the left front of the 19, and he's going to get it towed. Man, it has been an absolute grinder here in the past couple laps. Cars just getting wiped out left and right. Here's what happened to the 19. So they made their way through turns, I believe it was 3 and 4. Oh, just didn't get the corner right, and Paz hammered the turn 4 wall and make it 5.
Fender falls off, and unfortunately for the 19 who was running in 4th, now going to have to end up on pit road. And as you can see, Lucas Moody, our pre-race interviewer, is now into the top 5, passing Hunter Hidesky. And right now, I mean, Clint Halterman, Ryan Whitlock, Jared Kaler keeping their spots, but pretty much everyone behind that is right now trying to fend for their life. As you can see now, Clemson making up the 4th and 6th position now, with Moody currently taking over that 5th position. But, you know, you see some sizable gaps between really everyone falling back to this little group. I mean, Ryan Whitlock is still in striking distance of Clint, but really, I mean, all of these cautions, and also Alif is now in 7th behind Hidesky, who, you know, that's wild to say as well.
Alif has rallied back here in a big way. Sits in the 7th position, but something I'm keeping my eye on here is a battle for the lead. Clinton Halterman's got it here with 22 laps to go, but Ryan Whitlock, hot on his tail, is trying to take it away. He's within half a second. It's actually a closer distance than the battle we're watching here on screen. Whitlock now within 2/10. The 81 here going through the fountain turn. He is right there, Brad. As they go into 11 and 12, Halterman's going to have to do a lot here on the defensive if he's going to hold on to this lead.
As you say that, Whitlock thinks about going to the inside coming into turn 12. Fortunately able to take that right-hander single file. And I mean, obviously, Whitlock was dominant in that first green flag run. But now, I mean, Clint right now is going to have to try to defend everywhere he can to stay in the lead. Because, I mean, after Whitlock, I mean, Jared Kaler's 4 seconds behind at this point. So really, it's these two for the lead no matter what happens for the time being. So these two have about 20 laps to figure out who wants to be first, who wants to be second, and make sure neither of them make a mistake along the way. But you can see Clint's able to pull out to a half-second lead now, able to extend the gap a little bit. Whitlock, I mean, he hasn't really had to face anyone in front of him today outside of these cautions. So unknown territory. Once he gets green flag running for Whitlock, we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, we know he had a lot of speed in open air, and he's not letting the 007 get any distance on him, but it is very much a matter of finding the right opportunity to make a move. It seems like the 81 might be a little faster than Halterman through the back half of this course, particularly through 8, 9, and 10. He had a great run on him last time. Let's see if he's able to do it again here. And it looks like he did close up on him a little bit through those corners, so Whitlock's got something a little bit faster going through that section than Halterman doesn't have. The big question is, can the 81 find a way to convert it going down the front straightaway one of these? 20 to go this time by. Clint Halterman leads over Ryan Whitlock, Jared Kaler, Andrew Burrow, Lucas Moody, your top 5. Other notable drivers to keep an eye out for are Muhammad Alif runs 7th behind Hunter Hidesky. Keaton Kalick runs 10th after running in the top 3 most of the opening going. And Jake Cummings, by virtue of the free pass on that second caution, has gotten himself back up to 14th. It's as high as he's been all day long.
And right now, I mean, Armahan Alif is trucking right now to try and get up to this 6th position. He just laid down a lap that was 2/10 faster than his qualifying lap.
Joining us for all of 0.2 seconds was the driver of the 19. He is now gone. Don't know where he went. So guess we will not be talking to Ricky just yet. Is Ryan Whitlock going to make that move going into 7? He found a way to make it stick. And the UAH driver back to the front here with 20 to go. A great pass on Clint Halterman to retake the lead And we know this is the section of the track where he's really been able to find an advantage over Halterman. But now Halterman's going to be in his rear view mirror. This is the 81 going to be able to pull away.
Well, here, you got to make something happen. You got to at least keep the gap close, because that, first stint we saw, Ryan Whitlock was able to just take over and get out of there. And, if you're Clinton right now, obviously you don't have anyone behind you to pressure you, so he might be able to just try and keep it on the back bumper of the 81. I thought the 007 was going to take a little beat there, but as you can see, I think a couple guys are on pit road, potentially doing some alternative strategy. Right now, Hunter Hidesti currently sitting in 14th on pit road. Maybe a strategy call there, as you can see still. Oh, that was actually a crash. My fault.
Yeah, we'll try to find that replay of what happened to Hunter Hidesti in the second. Here comes Clint Halterman diving into the corner, made up a couple of car lengths going into sixth. Problem is, he's just not close enough to make a dive here in the 7 to repeat the favor that Whitlock pulled a lap ago. So the Alabama Huntsville car continues to hang up at the front of the field. Some folks can think back to Watkins Glen a couple of years ago when Whitlock came oh so close. And here's what happened to Hidesti. Just hammered the wall there going through that section. I mean, just destroyed the front end of that car. This is going into turn 11. Going into turn 10, yeah.
Dang, that's just, I think he overshot it, obviously, sending it too hard into that outside wall, sends him in a ricochet back to the inside wall, and that's day done for Hunter Hidesti. Unfortunate for him. And really, now I think everyone's trying to keep it clean. As well, right now, Armaham Leaf jumps up to 5th. You have Ball State 5th through 7th, but this battle at the front is ever going.
Yeah, we see here as we get to the Skycam, Ryan Whitlock continues to hold a slim advantage over Clint Halterman. Halterman, of course, 2 wins this season and has a road course win here in the Cup Series in his CIL career. Won Season 7 Watkins Glen, a thriller over Jared Kaler, who currently runs 3rd. Ryan Whitlock still looking for that first ever College Cup Series win. He started nearly 50 of these events, came oh so close at Watkins Glen a couple seasons ago. That one, though, just not quite meant to be. But today could be the day. He's got the lead, and he's led the most laps of anybody tonight. And I think he's actually got that fact locked in, no matter how this race ends. But he continues to set the pace here at the front. The thing that I'm keeping an eye on, though, is even with that damage, Armaham Leaf continues to close in. He's only about 11 seconds back, but is still running the fastest lap times of any car on track right now, even with that damage. That 12 may get there before this one's all said and done.
Even though there's only 17 to go, I mean, this is still about 30 minutes of racing, so obviously Armaham Leaf, as time goes on, he's probably ticking about at least half a second faster than these guys at the front, so that's about the gap right now from Armaham Leaf to these two in the front, as he is now in 4th position, passing Andrew Burrell. Burrell right now trying to just keep it clean, and really these top 7 have been doing a great job of that. Obviously a Leaf involved in that first lap back of this green flag run, but outside of that, these guys have been trying to keep it clean, and right now Ball State 4th, 6th, 7th, and 9th. 4 cars in the top 10 doing a great job here today.
Take a look here at the 121 of Andrew Burrell, who's put together a phenomenal drive to this point. He's up from 16th to 5th, used a little bit of pace, used a little bit of pit cycling, giving himself some track position, and is having a phenomenal run at the moment in this 121 machine, running in the 5th position. He's another driver, much like Ryan Whitlock, who long-time driver here, the CIL, still looking for that first ever win tonight. May or may not be that opportunity for the 121, but potentially a top 5 on the horizon here as well if he's able to keep up this pace. He's having a phenomenal drive right now for Clemson. As you see, he just clips the wall there a little bit in 11. Might be commentators cursing him in real time, so I'll stop chatting about it, but definitely a driver to keep an eye on here in the closing 16 laps.
And I mean, as we've taken as much time as getting away from these two are still inseparable at the front. You can see Clint Holtzman staying on the bumper of Ryan Whitlock, doing everything he has to do to try and have any chance of winning this race. Staying on that bumper of the UNC machine, looking to try and do anything with Ryan Whitlock. Whitlock seems like he has been very, very good at keeping his car in front of whoever challenges him from behind. And obviously now these two in 10 seconds in front of Jared Kaler, who's barely in front of Muhammad Alif. I mean, these guys, I think, are definitely just thinking about this battle right here. But Muhammad Alif doing a great job getting through the field and potentially, obviously, probably going to end up on the podium here soon as, Clint hits the wall coming out of turn 7.
Yeah, that cost him a good bit of time. You see, he fell way behind the 81 here. Biggest advantage Whitlock has had since he's taken the lead from home. So we're jumping a little deeper into the field here. Look at this battle. This is Ben Neller, Daniel Nanny, Jason Wyatt Burton, the Trine University driver, making his second CCS start of the season after a few weeks ago. The FC driver who's got several wins this season, looking to make his first and only road course start here in the Cup Series. And he's running in 12th behind a couple of really talented drivers. You see Nanny now getting separation around Neller. Oh, contact Wallet and Neller door to door going into 7. They eventually get that thing spread out a little bit going through the fountain turn. But boy, Jason Wallet, that car, when this thing's said and done, if he is able to find a way into the top 10, would be one of the most war-torn top 10 cars I've ever seen. We've seen him get caught up in incidents all over the place. As there is the pass for third. Muhammad Alif clears Jared Kaler. Alif sits 12 seconds adrift of the leaders, but a lot of open racetrack in front of him to try to run some quick times in the closing 15 laps. It is a tall order to make up nearly a second a lap. But if there's any driver in the field that would be capable of doing it, it is that yellow number 12.
I mean, yeah, there's been a reason why we keep updating everyone on Muhammad Alif. And obviously, he is tremendous on these road courses in whatever car you put him on. And he is showing that here today, battling from a lap down and now on the podium. But that's not all he wants. He wants to try and win here in Chicago after starting in the pits 1 lap down. So we'll see what the 12th machine can do. Ball State right now represented pretty well within the top 10. But like we said all season, Alex, I mean, Ball State is here to play. We talked to Lucas about it, and, a lot of these guys watching, I don't think they might comprehend how big Muhammad Alif's feet are so far in this race.
Yeah, he's already put on quite the display. He had to work his way from the lap down back to the lead lap. Caution came out just as he was on the lead lap to bunch everything back up. Had the tail end of that car absolutely destroyed. The left rear is very caved in on that 12 machine and still continuing to run some hot times here. Closed in a couple tenths that lap. He'll need to increase that rate a bit more if he wants a chance to try to run down the leaders, even with that battered race car. But doing a phenomenal job right now in P3. A couple of other drivers that are really worth highlighting, as you see. The lap time difference there. Alif lost out some time to Whitlock that last lap after a couple of laps where he was really closing down the gap. That time fluctuating now down below 11 seconds. The 12 continues just to try to make up some time here. But as we were saying, some drivers worth shouting out here with they've had so far. Of course, our leader, who's put together a phenomenal run here, looking for his first ever College Cup Series victory. Andrew Burrell, looking for just his second ever top 5 here in the CCS, at least entering this season. And of course, Keegan Kalick, who's been grinding at it. Wyatt Burton. And of course, the Ball State guys. I mean, they have just put on a show here. You see Alif running 3rd, Moody 6th, Quick is 7th, Nanny's 9th, Neller's 11th. They have fully come out to play here today. It's been a fun watch.
Yeah, I mean, also, we weren't expecting cautions, and, cautions offer a lot of action, obviously, through these first couple of turns, and we saw it. I think, no one came out clean from any restart we had here today. But, unless you're Clint Holtzman or Ryan Whitlock, I think it's been pretty hectic on these restarts, but these guys have been able to, get that front row and able to get out to that huge jump on these restarts that keeps them away from all the craziness that happens in turns 1 and 2, and that has put them on an island of their own. But our Muhammad Alif has now broken the 10-second barrier between them. So slowly but surely, the 12 machine is on his way up to these two, but does he have enough time? I mean, obviously, this is a really long track. It's going to take a lot of time to finish these final 13 laps, coming to 12 to go. But, you know, the 12 is going to have to definitely put down more than just, you know, a half a second a lap at this point. He's going to have to put nearly a lap a second if he has any chance of even getting to these two. And then after that, having to pass them is a whole nother story. But you know, we will keep tabs on what the 12 is doing along with everyone else in this field. As you can see, just the gaps between some of these drivers on the left here. You can see Lucas Moody and Andrew Burrell in a little bit of a scuffle, but really outside of these top two, it's pretty strained out here, Alex.
Yeah, about to say, it's kind of ironic that one of the best battles on track right now is the battle for the lead. It's a half-second gap between Ryan Whitlock, Clinton Halterman. You see roaring through 3 and 4 once again. A lot of speed that Halterman carried there through 4 and the 5. Boy, he flew through there. He might have an opportunity to try to set something up here in the turn 6. Looks like he might just be a little far back, but he made up a lot of ground. And through that half of the racetrack, you see just how bright those brake rotors are glowing on both of these cars right now. This, of course, so demanding on the brakes. Less than a car length separating the 81 and the 007 as they make their way through this half of the course. I mean, Ryan Whitlock has led the most laps here today. He was cruising in the opening half of the race. Now, though, with Halterman getting that track position he needed, the 81 has simply not been able to pull away in the back half of this race. 11 to go this time by. Oh, Halterman almost lost it.
My lord. Well, Clint's definitely going to have a little bit more fight now as he's fallen without outside of a second of Ryan Whitlock. Whitlock definitely happy to see that one, but you know, Clint obviously is going to have to try and rebound after that huge slide coming out of turn 12.
Yeah, he's lucky he didn't put that thing in the wall off of 12. It's going to at least give him a chance, but he is falling way off of the pace here of Ryan Whitlock. He's about a second and 3/10 off. And he'll have a lot of work to do to try to get up to him as we jump to this battle here for the 11th position. That is the 79 of Benjamin Neller, the 76 of Jason Wallet. The 76 and the 79 look like they've been through a war zone today trying to keep this thing in one piece. They are actually the last cars on the lead lap as they run. And they are duking it out here for the 11th position. Jason Wallet trying to muscle that car up to the 11th position. Man, that'd be a really cool Checkers and Records diecast if they ever made diecasts here for the CIL. I mean, that thing is holding on for dear life right now. Oh, Cody Perkins torpedoes into turn 1. Dear Lord, the 31 came in hot.
That was wild to see in the background there. A little jump scare. It's Riley Perkins. Sends it deep into turn 1, obviously a little too deep, as we're going to take a look back here, coming down the front stretch. We saw him in the background a little bit, but the 31 obviously just looks like he locked it up coming into turn 1 here. That left front actually, you can see is just grinding and just sends it right into the tire barrier. And the 31, he kept it going. I mean, he's still on track right now. I don't know how healthy the car is going to be, but he's still on track.
And it's worth noting he was running in the 14th position at the time. As you see Clint Halterman there clip the wall again a little bit. He's starting to really fall back here behind the 81. He's now down 2 seconds to race leader Ryan Whitlock. Just has not been able to maintain that pace since he nearly lost it off of turn 12 a couple laps ago. This is really where the attrition kicks in for some of these cars. You know you've already gone through 40 laps. You're exhausted from the amount of shoulder work this track is and how much you have to fight the wheel lap in, lap out. The tires are protesting it. The car, if you've hit the wall at all, is protesting it. You just got to try to grind out these last couple laps, and it's tough mentally as a driver when you get to this stage of the race. Just trying to keep yourself in position, trying to give yourself a chance. As you see now, Halterman going to work his way past Riley Perkins. And I think the 31 Gonna bring it down pit road this time by, I'd have to imagine, with how significant that damage was a lap ago.
And I mean, right now, crazy to say, but Muhammad Leaf is in the background of Clint Halterman. I mean, Clint vaguely sees him in his, in his rearview mirror, but obviously being that bright yellow color, it's hard to miss. So the 007 is going to try and do everything he can to either make his way up to the 81 or defend against the 12. I don't know which one's going to come first. We'll have to see here in the closing laps. But Muhammad Ali definitely still on a mission to get up to at least second right now. He's done the time. I mean, he's gotten down to about 7.5 seconds behind Ryan Whitlock and now 4.5 seconds behind Clint Halterman. So he is getting there, but is it too close to call for him to try and get that win, or is it he's going to have to file out for second here?
We will have to say, I mean, when you're making up 1.5 seconds, that last lap for a Leaf, I mean, that really makes anything possible. It's a huge time there that the 12 made up, and I wonder if the 007 being on the back bumper of Whitlock was helping him run some quick lap times when there was that pressure behind him. And now that there's not, I wonder if he is trying to save some tires here for the tail end of this race. You see Halterman coming up the scene just behind him. He's about 3 seconds back. Leaf's about 3 seconds back of him. That's nearly 20 seconds back to Jared Kaler in fourth. The win almost certainly going to come from drivers in the top 3 right now. Between Whitlock, Halterman, and the Leaf, it's just a matter of who's saved enough here to make it happen. Let's see the difference coming to the line. About 0.6 quicker that time for a Leaf. And that's a good lap to cut down a good bit of the deficit, but still, I don't know if that's enough time to get up there. But a Leaf can see him just barely on the straightaways at this point. And that might just be enough of an incentive to try to push it just a little bit harder in these closing couple laps. Whitlock now just trying to cruise, save those tires, and gear up from a potential fight here in the closing couple laps.
At this rate, I mean, a Leaf's going to have to try and gain about 8.5 tenths a second on average to get anywhere near Ryan Whitlock, but he still has Clint Halterman, who's not going to, battle him easily. And then just to get around Whitlock is going to be another story, but we'll see if that comes to frame. As you see, Michael James, I believe, is right there. The Drexel machine seen some better days, but he is still on track, and that's getting him a 16th position as it stands. Potentially 15th once he passed Riley Perkins in the pits, but right now all eyes are on this top 3. I mean, there's some close battles looking back. Lucas Moody and Andrew Burrell are close together, getting potentially a little bit of a battle going into these final 7 laps.
Yeah, so we'll take a look here. Oh, he lost it off of 12. Oh, he went sliding into the wall. Big time damage for our Muhammad Ali just as we cut to see what the deficit change was going to be. And he's going to lose a ton of time there. The 12 drops 1.5 seconds that lap, hits the wall there at 1. That car riddled with damage now. Just trying to hold on to it at this point. That thing looks like it's a handful. You see, this is a look here at 12, just oversends it going into this corner. Slapped that concrete barrier. And it's that damaged left rear that was caught up in that incident on the restart. Heavy into the wall again. That left rear tire absolutely devastated at the moment. And now with 7 laps to go, everything is now turned. The 12, yeah, that thing's basically undrivable at this point. He's just trying to nurse this thing around. And I think at this point, all eyes probably turn to Ryan Whitlock and just saying, all right, you just got to run 7 clean laps. You've got the pace. You've got the advantage. Just a matter of closing it out at this point. Now that the Leaf has fallen back and Halterman has as well. Boy, oh boy. Big drama here in the closing couple laps. I guess I wonder now, does a Leaf come down pit road here, or is he able to keep this car on track?
I mean, I don't think anything's forcing him down pit road. He might not, might not want to. I mean, he has 15 seconds granted back to 4th place, but that car, talk about, Jason Wallet has a war-torn car. This 12 machine has definitely seen better days. And I mean, we saw a Leaf trying to push this thing as much as he can, and you could see that, 5-second it's 5 seconds he lost on Ryan Whitlock there. So obviously the 12 is going to just try to keep his podium position. Obviously he has 15 seconds back to the 58, so he'll just have to limp that thing basically around the track, and as long as he's not losing 3 seconds to the UNC Charlotte machine, he should be able to lock down that last podium position.
And the Ethan Decatur just hammered the wall in 6. The leaders are just going by him now. But this is the 111's already had some issues here tonight. Couldn't get that car rotated head on into the tire barriers. Basically blows the engine. Smoke's billowing out of that thing. He's just trying to nurse it back to pit lane at this point. Despite the damage, he is technically scored in the 14th position, which is part of the reason I don't think he's trying to get that thing towed. Just because he still has an opportunity for a decent finish here after starting 30, well, officially being gridded 32nd, I think. So he is going to bring this thing to pit road. And now we've got ourselves a potentially a bit of a battle with Andrew Burrow, Lucas Moody. That's about the closest battle on track here for P5 with 5 laps to go. The 121 trying to hold on to that top 5 spot. And Lucas Moody trying to take it away to make it Ball State, having 2 cars inside the top 5. Although it's also worth noting they have 4 inside the top 10 right.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good day for Ball State, but at the same time, I mean, really these 3 cars, you got Lucas Moody, Andrew Burrow, and Jared Kaler all within a 2-second gap here, so any mistake by any one of these 3 will send them, well, if Jared Kaler makes any mistake, that could send them down 2 positions at least. And obviously you can see Lucas locked in, trying to conserve as much as he can and try not to hit the wall. You've seen him briskly hit the wall, but Lucas Moody currently locked in on that screen, trying to do everything he can to get this 13 at potentially in a top 5 position, but Andrew Burrow is not someone you want to see in front of you. He does a great job when it comes to defending. We'll see if he is able to keep it in front of the 13 in the closing 5 lap here.
Yeah, see, he's working down the stretch here, closing in on Burrow just a little bit. Made up some good time there in 6. Over the bridge now into 7. They'll try to work their way through the fountain section. The gap fluctuating between 1 to 2 car lengths. Oh, Moody got a really good run there going. Is he going to be able to maintain that down toward 11? I mean, he is right there as they'll be making their way down the... There's only 4 laps to go at this point. And not a ton of opportunities left to go out there and make something happen, but he is knocking on the door.
And one thing to note here, Alex, I mean, we're looking at Lucas Moody. His Ball State teammate, Armaham Alif, is really, like, losing a lot of time to Ryan Whitlock and the rest of the guys up in the front, and now potentially could be in the grasp of those 3 as we were watching. Jared Kaler has now got it down to 7 seconds. And Andrew Burrow, Lucas Moody also going to be there potentially if Armaham Alif cannot limp this thing around to secure the last podium position. I mean, to say that car obviously has been through a war zone is an understatement, but, like, you know, Armaham Alif is definitely going to, you know, one of the best drivers in the CIL. He's going to have to try and do everything he can to lock out that 3rd position now. As you see, I believe he just lost about 3/10 coming through turn 6, now coming into turn 7. And you can see he's losing about 3 seconds a lap to Jared Kaler.
Yeah, you can see the 12 being incredibly deliberate with how gently he's taking it into the corners. The 12 just not able to corner the same way it was before that second bit of wall contact. So he's just trying to get this thing to make it to the finish. Still has a 6-second advantage over Jared Kaler. So he has some time to burn, but I mean, the 58 was about 15 seconds back before that incident, so he's made up a ton of time. And I think the 12 is starting to pick up a little bit more speed now that he knows kind of what kind of damage is affecting the car and how much he can kind of push the issue. So yeah, he only lost a second that time to Jared Kaler that lap around, so Kaler still absolutely working that wheel here. Laps to go and running in the 4th position. As we see, just behind him as well, we've got a good battle continuing. Lucas Moody, Andrew Burrow. I mean, these guys are absolutely cooking right now just behind him. Moody early put it in the fence coming off of 2. He's been pushing it And he's trying to find his way around. Has not been able to just yet. But I mean, there is no separation between the. This might be the time. He got a great run off of 5. Does he make a dive into turn 6?
Got the longest stretch to do it. You can see he thought about going to the inside, but Burrell's going to be able to outbrake him going into turn 6 here. That left-hander that's now going to set them up for turn 7. Moody and Burrell looks like they didn't really get too far away from each other there. Moody was able to keep it within half a second. Lost a lot of time, though, and now potentially losing up to another quarter of a second there, but gained a lot of it back coming through turns 8 and 9, and now going back through the back half of this lap, trying to get everything he can out of the track and get back to potentially making a move for that 5th place position, as we are now 2 to go. As the 13 I thought was going to send it around, but was able to catch it coming out of turn 11.
Yeah, he's been really trying to make something happen here as they make their way down the front straightaway for the second to lap time. I guess probably third to last time. We still have 2 laps to go here. Burrell, Moody, 5th and 6th, going to war for it, trying to figure out who's going to be able to take that final spot in the top 5. The 121's got it. He's looking for his second ever CCS top 5 finish. Lucas Moody looking to add another one this season to get there. It's been fun watching this battle. Oh boy, I think that just killed any chance of a potential dive here from 13. Hit the wall, but as I'm saying it, he's still thinking about it. And then he caught a bit of a bump there, and I think in the middle of the street. Not being able to make it. Oh, big slide from the 121. Here comes trying to press the.
I mean, these guys, Lucas is definitely not happy to be at 6. He wants to do anything and everything he can, as now Ryan Whitlock takes the white flag.
The white flag's in the air, presented by the Mcconey Setup Shop. Your homes for setups, paint schemes, coaching, and more. Ryan Whitlock has been the fastest car for most of the day up at the front of the field. Has to get around this tricky Chicago course one more time. He came so close at Watkins Glen a season ago. Ended up on the podium, but did not get the win he was looking for, despite leading with only a few laps left. Got caught up in lap traffic. But today could be the day to avenge all of that. He's won several times in the short track showdown this season. He's been a regular on the FC side. He's even been up here in the booth calling some of these CCS races whenever Brad hasn't been able to make it. But on this part-time schedule, Ryan Whitlock is now only 2 corners away from being able to win his first ever College Cup Series race. Just has to circumnavigate this final corner as Clint Halterman has gotten within a second and a half, but it is not going to be enough. Alabama Huntsville's Ryan Whitlock is going to score the victory in the streets of Chicago.
A beautiful drive by UAH. You can see Ryan is absolutely fired up. And that is a phenomenal drive. I mean, Ryan, like you said today, Alex, he was the fastest car on track, and he showed it here in the closing laps, locking it down and making sure Clint had no chance to get around him. And obviously Clint did a great job as well. And currently right now, I mean, they're still battling it out. Muhammad Alif finishing 3rd, Jared Kaler 4th place, and Andrew Burrow barely making it out in front of Lucas Moody.
That was a fun run to the finish there between those guys battling for 5th and 6th. A phenomenal job from Muhammad Alif to be able to hold on to that car long enough to hold on to the podium finish after all he had to overcome today. Ryan Whitlock going to take advantage of the chaos, will lead the most laps and score his first CCS victory. Fantastic stuff for the UAH team. And it's fascinating to talk about because this is only Alabama Hunt's second ever College Cup Series victory. To find the other time they went to victory lane, you'd have to go back to Kentucky all the way back in season 4 with Kenneth Talbot scoring the win there. And Ryan Whitlock going to be the second UAH driver to go to victory lane here in the College Cup Series. 8 seasons later. We're going to step aside for just a moment. When we come back, your race results and interviews with your podium finishers. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be a good one.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Mcconey.
With the launch of Mcconey Entertainment and Mcconey Competizone alongside Mcconey Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at McConeySetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Mcconey Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Hello, my name's Aaron Brown from the Garage Shop in Denver, North Carolina. We're here at the famous Bonneville Speedway in Wendover, Utah. One of the most harshest environments on the planet to race in, and that's why we need the best tools Snap-on has to offer. What we use here to pump up the oil in our race engines to prime them is this Snap-on screw gun. With its variable speed and high torque, this allows us to spin our oil pumps up to 1,500 RPMs, creating 70 pounds of oil pressure, which helps us get everything settled in, nice and happy, and turn the hot oil through the engine. Compact, lightweight, and able to fit in really tight spaces. Its 9-position clutch allows us to torque things, nuts, bolts, from 8-inch to 50-inch pounds. Small size and high performance helps us get into many places on a race car where normal tools can't. Under the dash and the engine compartment, we also use this to drill a lot of holes in very tight spots.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
We are back after a phenomenal race here at the Chicago Street Course, the first street course here in the College Cup Series here in Season 12. Joining us now, race winner, Ryan Whitlock. Hey there, Ryan. This is Alex and Brad up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Well, I think that's the question I should be asking you. We got to see the onboard as you crossed the start-finish line. Clearly, this one meant a lot. Talk to us. Just how are you feeling right now?
Well, I mean, look, mate, I was on a whole lap. Like, unironically. It was a lot of fun racing Clint. And I think like week 1 or 2 or something like that of the iRacing Supercars series was here. So I did like 2 or 3 races in the Supercar, which is like if the next gen was better in every way on road courses. But like it's absolutely a transferable skill, and I genuinely attribute that to the win.
And I mean, clearly it seemed to cross over pretty well. You were good there, and you were good here tonight, led by far the most laps. But it seemed like for a minute there, you were in a good battle with Clint. He got around you. He was holding on to the lead. You got it back, and then he refused to let you go there for a little bit until he ultimately made a mistake. But what was that battle like with the 007?
It was a lot of fun. I mean, I've gone wheel to wheel with Clint more times than I can count, and I actually don't think we've killed each other a single time that wasn't doing dumb stuff in practice. So I knew he just happened to break a hair early for turn 6 there, and I happened to break just a hair late. That's actually where I spun the most in practice. So I just kind of prayed, and I almost think it was a bit of an advantage knowing him so well that he kind of let me have it. I think any other driver who maybe doesn't like me quite as much wouldn't have let me do it. But yeah, it was fun. And I also know after the first stint when we pit Clint's rear tires, he said they were 2% more worn than mine were. And I know generally unless Clint is trying to save tires, he's not very good at it. You can ask him about that. He'll probably laugh. But I think that's how it happened. Just slightly better tire saving and just like pushing his buttons a little bit per se.
Well, speaking of pushes the buttons, did you have any concerns in those closing laps with the 12's pace? He was catching up to you there for a minute, and then he ultimately hit the wall off of 12 and damaged the car, and that was kind of all she wrote after he got caught up in an earlier thing. But I mean, was there any concern once you got past Clint that you were going to have any concerns holding on to the lead the rest of the way?
No, I was definitely worried about the 12. I'm an aerospace engineering student who also works several hours a week at my job, and I believe the 12 gets paid to do this. So, I mean, I knew he just has a natural advantage, and he does this all the time. And I mean, full props to him. He had a fantastic drive through the field today. But I mean, it's an old sports car racing saying, traffic giveth and traffic taketh. And I think traffic had a little bit to do with that taketh for him today. And, that's racing. You put yourself in a position to win enough times, eventually you will. But you don't always. And today was a not always for him, and it was a eventually will for me.
And ultimately it worked out for you big time. Congrats. Winning across multiple series now. Attacking the CCS now to series that you've won in this season for CIL. Ryan, anyone you'd like to shout out here to celebrate the victory?
Yeah, I want to shout out all the OWR guys. They're a ton of fun to race with. Shout out Clint for that good racing. And I want to shout out Charger Motorsports for sure, the UAH Motorsports Club. We're not just a sim racing team, albeit our sim racing team is growing. We've got a lot of real racing projects going on as well. Unfortunately, we were not able to autocross on Sunday, but we got a lot of cool stuff going on with the club. And this is the first cup win the team has had since like a Kentucky race in 2022 before the next gen was even a thing. So just want to shout out those guys.
Season 4.
Yeah, it's been a while, but shout out Charger Motorsports. Check us out on socials. We don't just sim race. We got a lot of cool stuff going on.
Alrighty, Ryan, thank you so much for dropping by. Congrats on the win, man. It's been a long time coming for you. Enjoy the celebration, and if assuming you don't celebrate too hard, we will see you at the next one.
I mean, I got homework to do. I got an aerospace structures assignment due at midnight. That's going to be a job and a half. But yeah, thanks, guys.
Well, we'll let you get to it then, Ryan. Congrats on the win, and best of luck on that assignment. That was race winner Ryan Whitlock, number 81 machine for Alabama Huntsville. Brad standing by with runner-up finisher here, Clint Halterman from UNC Charlotte.
I'm down here with Clint Halterman. Clint, you got a copy?
I got you guys.
Well, it was a battle to the very end. I mean, we saw a lot of cars get really totaled here today. And, you seem to be consistently battling it out with the 81. Can you take us through the battles and everything going on there in that second half of the race?
Yeah, this is probably like the most scared I've ever been trying to race. It's so hard to not make a mistake around here. And it's like it's such a different mindset having to race be actually race versus like hot lapping. There's so much more confidence I have when just hot lapping. But yeah, that was like I just did not want to. If anything, I knew if I just didn't wreck, I would get a pretty good finish. As evident, I think only about 10 or 12 cars actually finished the race or finished the lead lap. So, yeah, I just wanted to not wreck, and I got plenty of 0x wall contacts there. And yeah, man, I kind of wish I could have some of those back. I think Ryan just had the better pace than me. Once even before that first caution, I wasn't really gaining too much on him, and yeah, made a little mistake coming out of turn 5. Just clipped the insides wall coming out of turn 5. Got a bad run out of that, and then Ryan just outclassed me into turn 6. I did not think he was even at all close enough to outbrake me into turn 6. So I left the door open, and he's just there, and yeah, I thought I could hang it around the outside. I had a similar thing happen with Nanny earlier in the race where I was able to hang it around the outside, but yeah, that was a crazy move by Ryan, and he definitely deserved that one. He didn't put a foot wrong the entire race.
Now, this is coming from Ryan himself, but he said you aren't the greatest when it comes to tire conservation. Do you think that's true? How was the tires tonight?
They were kind of weird. I definitely overstepped my tires there trying to race him. I think I would agree. When I get caught, I have a hard time when I get caught up in a battle. I am focused on the battle. It's hard for me to conserve my tires. I was kind of trying to do that when I had the lead, but when I got back to second, I was really trying to push Ryan to make a mistake, and yeah, I kind of just overcooked them. And I had a moment, I think, out of the final corner where I was right on his back bumper, and I just lit the rears up, and then I don't know what happened after that, but the tires were terrible for the next like 5 to 10 laps or something like that. They were just bad. I had nothing. And I was rapidly getting caught by a leaf there, and I think he had something happen to him, and he probably would have got me if that didn't happen. But I think once I sort of settled down after that, I kind of realized I had like a 4-second gap, I think, to Whitlock, and I think then they started. I don't know if they cooled off or something like that, but then they started to come back to me, and I really started to gain ground. Or I don't. He could have been also just back being extra cautious because he had that lead. But my lap times were a lot better. I was in the 29s to high 28s there, and then I think at the last couple laps I was consistently doing mid to low 28s. So they were weird. Most other road courses in this car, you don't even really want to take tires, and I almost did that. Almost did that on the first caution. I'm glad I decided to take tires because 50 laps on one set of tires I think would have been pretty rough. But yeah, just overcooked them a little bit.
And then, I wasn't expecting to have any restarts here today, but coming out of that second restart, was there anyone you were watching in your rear view? I mean, you did mention a Leaf was, making his way through the field, but was there anyone else that you were looking out for? Did you think it would be between you and Whitlock?
A Leaf. No disrespect to anyone else, but a Leaf was. I basically just like, where's a Leaf? Where's a Leaf? Where's a Leaf? Because I knew. I think he got involved in that, in some wreck on that second restart. And I mean, he's really fast. I think I think I was closer to him here than some other places, but he is really fast, and I knew that first caution was kind of a buzzkill. I thought for sure he was gonna he wasn't a lap down anymore. He's probably gonna go win the race. And honestly, I think I don't know. I was gonna try my best to hold him off for Ryan because we're teammates, but he was a lot faster. I don't know. He would have got me for P2 for sure if he didn't whatever happened to him. But Yeah, I was thinking if a leaf got caught back there, it's probably gonna be me and Ryan. I don't. I think Jared also had some good pace, but it seemed like something. I don't know if something happened in the race or if he wasn't quite as confident uh in his car during the race, but he didn't quite seem to be up there with Ryan and I. But Ryan and I were like the exact same pace for a lot of the race. So I kind of I knew if Leaf was the main guy, yeah. But if he didn't get up there, I think it was gonna be me a duel between me and Ryan.
Well, I mean, great finish here tonight, Clint. You offered us a lot of content there at the front. I mean, pretty much for like 2/3 of the race, the closest battle was between you and Ryan. So great drive today. But before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, of course. Just want to shout out Orange Wheel Racing guys. Shout out Ryan getting the win. He's super good here. This two races in a row. The IndyCar race last season and this one where he's just kind of showed me up into turn 6. So I need to try and get him back on Wednesday because he keeps doing that to me here. And we got 4 cars in the top 5. Burrow gets the top 5. Super happy for him. He has a lot of bad luck in this, and he just did his typical thing where he just kind of survives, and he got a good finish out of it. So really happy for Burrow to get top 5, and really happy to have four cars at top 5. And then shout out to my friends and family who are watching, and then shout out to y'all for putting on the race tonight.
Well, thanks for joining us here, Clint. And, as much fun as we had at Chicago, we're going to pretty much a complete opposite at Bristol next week. So hopefully, you have fun practicing for that. And
I'm not looking forward to
that. Well, we'll see you next week and hopefully up in the booth again.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And we're going to send it back up to the booth with Alex and our third place finisher, R. Muhammad Alif.
Hey there, Leaf. This is Alex and Brad up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep.
I tell you what, if there's anyone who went on a full odyssey today, my man, it would be you. Starting at the back of the field, worked your way back onto the lead lap. Caution comes out to get you some track position. Then you get hit by an absolute missile going into turn 1.
Yeah.
Still have some pace, and then just issues later down the line. I mean, from your vantage point, how would you assess today's going from back of the field to third, basically twice over?
It was fun. I was having a lot of fun just making my way through. I just know the skill gap when it comes to road courses is pretty huge with this series, so I knew that I could do it. Just tried too hard, I guess, with that last corner incident, and yeah, the damage didn't help. Took out at least 6 to 8 tenths, or maybe half a second a lap out of my car. So yeah, I would have. If it wasn't for that, I think we would have easily won it and made it last to first. But yeah, it is what it is. I think Ryan deserved this win as well. I think he did a good job. His pace, I think, right after the caution was really strong. But yeah, congrats to him. Congrats to Clint as well for the P2. And yeah, we'll take the P3 after what happened today.
Yeah, I mean, it was an eventful one for sure, but it'll be a good points day for you. And I guess it's worth noting, you're saying obviously you're down 5-6 tenths or so a lap after that damage. What about the car changed from that incident that made it a little tougher?
Well, basically the rear end got bent in, so I just had a lot less rear grip, which meant that I had less understeer, so I could almost drift the car around and get by. If it was the other way around where I understeer, then it would have been a problem. But yeah, I just had to try to lock in and do what I could with what I had, and yeah, still managed to get the P3. So yeah.
Ultimately, you do gain some ground over the cars in front of you with your third place finish here today. Opportunity to gain some points on guys like Daniel and Jake. And I know there's not a ton of time left this season, but next week, we're going to Bristol. How do you feel about your odds going into that track?
I don't know. I mean, I have to just keep grinding and keep working at it. It's been a while since I've been in the broadcast booth here at the Cup Series. So yeah, just gotta keep at it. And yeah, work together with the team to make sure we clinch both the championships.
And I think y'all are well on your way to doing that. There's still 2 more weeks to confirm that for sure. If anyone you'd like to shout out here tonight before we let you go on the podium finish.
All of my teammates, big shout out to them. Shout out to Daniel Budaspaus, our sports psychologist. We also have our esports directors, Dan and BK, the whole program here, and my family back home.
Alrighty. Congrats on the P3. I know it's not the result you were looking for, but still a fantastic drive to watch, watching you cut through the field multiple times over. And we will see you next week at Bristol.
Thank you. See you guys.
See it. And hopefully we'll get the chalk to you again next week there, Alif. That is the driver of the 12 machine, Muhammad Alif from Ball State University, bringing home the podium finish here tonight. Stellar drive, even with the damage, the P3 finish. And Brad, we're going to get one quick final interview in here with the driver we've not had an opportunity to talk about very much in his time here in the CIL, but joining us here for his second ever top 5 finish. It is the driver of the 121, Andrew Burrell.
Andrew, you got a copy?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, welcome to the booth. Today we saw you go through a lot. I mean, you started 16th, ended up 5th, so you pretty much saw a lot of this field tonight. Take us through the race for you and from your perspective.
Oh, man, this race was, I think, the hardest I've ever driven and probably the most entertaining. Dodging cars, dodging walls, trying to keep Moody off my back.
And then, you take us more through that battle with Moody. We were watching you guys duke it out in that final set, about 10, I think, to go. And you were doing a great job on defending, but take us through your perspective and how you were able to keep Moody behind you.
Oh man, it was hitting my marks, trying to make sure I'm braking at the same spot, but also I know I had to push because Moody is really, really fast. And the problem here is with the brakes, you lock the rear brakes because you got the bias so far back, and I was trying to push it as hard as I could in the braking zones without looping it and taking both of us out.
And then, we saw a lot of guys spin it today, and especially when the tires wore. Did you feel, were you more comfortable as time went on, or how did the car feel after a little bit? Because really, I think your key to success today was just making sure you kept that car, that 121 clean.
Yeah, honestly, this car, I don't know what it is, but the tires when they're fresh and cold, they are terrible. It is a pig to drive, but after a couple laps they get warm, it feels really nice, but then you get the other side, you hit a wall, it starts to get loose. And I can tell you, I was drifting some of those corners trying to keep Moody behind me.
Well, Andrew, it's a pleasure to be
Sorry, I realized you had asked me if I had a question. That's on me. I was making some updates to something on my end. Andrew, congrats on the top 5 run, my man. I mean, that was an impressive bit of work.
Yeah.
I guess if it hasn't come up already, if it has, apologies. You've obviously had the opportunity to run in this series for a good while at this point. Both running FC and now also the College Cup Series. What does the top 5 mean for you here after a number of races, just kind of working and getting better week in, week out?
Man, honestly, finishing top 5 for me is one thing, to see that finishing position, but to be there and be there relatively on pace. I know Kaler, I could kind of keep up with him, but Alif was just in his own world like he usually is. But be able to keep pace with these guys that I've spent years doing this, and I'd hold them up for maybe a turn or two, but within a couple of laps they'd be seconds ahead of me, and to feel like I really belonged tonight was, like, honestly, it meant a lot. It kind of showed what I've been doing.
Yeah, we definitely showed, we showed you probably for a lot of those final 15 laps, so you can watch it back here on the replay and all the fun that we also saw tonight. But before we let you go, Andrew, is there anyone you'd like to shout out?
Of course I do. I've obviously got to shout out my fantastic grandmother. That she's she's the one that I still do this for. I probably would have quit a couple of years ago with the way CIL usually goes, but I obviously I gotta shout out my friends in OWR. Clint, Ryan, Drew, Nick, Kaler, Schollenberger. Feels like half the field, but those guys make it fun to be here, even if I get wrecked most of the time.
Well, hey, again, great drive today, Andrew. I'm so happy that you could join us up here in the booth and, hope to see you again here by the end of season.
Yeah. I hope so too.
Alrighty, well, have a great night, Andrew.
All right, y'all too. See ya.
And that was your 5th place finisher, Andrew Burrell. And tonight, I think, Alex, that leads us into the results here from Chicago.
That it certainly does. We'll pull them up on the screen now. Ryan Whitlock scores the big victory tonight for Alabama Huntsville, just south of a second clear of Clint Halterman. Our Muhammad Leaf was on the warpath late, but ran into some damage and had to nurse it home for a 3rd place finish. Jared Kaler will finish 4th. Andrew Burrell will get his first top 5 of the next-gen era here, running out the top 5 for Clemson. Lucas Moody finishes 6th for Ball State. Kelton Quick, 7th. Keegan Kalick, 8th for St. Clair College here tonight, just ahead of Daniel Nanny in 9th. Wyatt Burton rounds out the top 10 in his 2nd ever CCS start for Triumph.
The last car in the lead lap, Jason Wallet from Drexel, finishes 11th. Jake Cummings, who started a lap down, finishes 12th. Ben Neller from Ball State University finishes 13th. Michael James from Drexel University finishes 14th. Ethan Decatur from Valparaiso finishes 15th. Riley Birkins from New England College finishes 16th. Kay Corbin from University of Alabama Huntsville finishes 17th. Hunter Hadesky from Clemson finishes 18th, and his teammate Nick Stockner finishes 19th. And to round out your top 20, Ricky Paz from East Carolina University.
Rest of the field showing up on your screen here of those who took the green flag here tonight. Zach DeWale, Grant Schiller, Connor Sabosian, Nick Henley, Edward Sanchez, Drew Williams, Esteban Munoz, Brennan Lyman, Brandon Schulenberger, all getting marked with the DNF tonight. And that does round out the field of those who took the green flag this evening. And with that just about is going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from the Chicago Street Course. Ryan Whitlock picks up the victory for Alabama Huntsville. And now there's only 2 more races left in Season 12, Brad. Bristol and Auto Club over the next 2 weeks. We are coming down to the wire to settle this season. 2 more opportunities for drivers to go out and get victories. You see it on your screen now. Bristol next week for the College Cup Series, 8:30 p.m., April 14th. That coverage will be brought to you potentially by Brad. I will not be here next week, but Brad, I think maybe? No, you're on this side. You're over here.
I'll be
how do arrows work? He's over there.
Yep.
Brad will be here to bring you the action. I will not be, but it'll be a fun time. I'll be watching from where I'm at. Excited to see it. And then we will all be back together for the grand finale of this club in 2 weeks' time. But before we get to that, we have a couple more races this week as well. Also on the schedule this week is the Formula College Series Short Track Showdown. It's coming up tomorrow night at Five Flags Speedway. There's not a broadcast for that, but if you go to the Collegiate iRacing League.com website, you can check out information on how to join that race if you're of STS. That is the final race of the short track at Five Flags. You won't want to miss it. Ryan Whitlock, great season there. Yes. I don't remember. I know he's doing the CSC stuff. I don't track. Neither here nor there. Wednesday night, as you can see, we are slowly losing it here. It's the Chicago Street Course doubleheader. Formula College heading there as well. And the Indy cars, that'll be April 9th, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, right here on the CIL YouTube. And Producer Christian, is there a CSC race? Nope. Okay. So that is the... Oh, okay, yeah. Next week we have the Nürburgring combined for the Collegiate Sports Car Challenge, but we'll talk about that next week. But that's going to do it here for our coverage here tonight of the Chicago Street Course. Brad, any final thoughts before we call the night?
I mean, we're getting down to the wire, like you said, Alex, and next week we go to pretty much the complete opposite of this track, which is the Coliseum that we call Bristol. So, there's going to be a lot of tempers flaring there, and, it's going to be a 180 of what we saw tonight, a lot of hectic, but also a lot of great racing at that super, super quick half mile.
Well, with that being said, I think that is going to do it for our coverage here tonight from the Chicago Street Course. I want to thank you all for tuning in to tonight's presentation of the CIL, the Garage Shop College Cup Series, the Market Crash 110. It's been a pleasure to bring this one to you for all these admins, all the stewards, producer Christian Hill, co-commentator Brad Daniels. I've been Alex Gagnon saying thank you so much for tuning in. Before my everything just fails me here trying to wrap this thing up, we're going to call it a night. So thank y'all. Have a good one, and we will catch you Wednesday for the Formula College broadcast.